Okay, it is 6:10 p.m. Sorry for the late start, but I'm going to call this meeting into order on this July 10th, Wednesday, 2024. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now a moment of silence as we consider those who have gone before us. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Alter?
Melting.
Trustee Sauer?
Here.
Trustee Walden? Here. Trustee Juding?
Here.
Trustee Hanselman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bobby Ryan?
Here.
And Mayor Rob Allen?
Present.
And our attorney, Ed
Okay, let's get started. We have a few items on the announcements that are all on your agenda. We're still looking for alternate members for Zoning Board of Appeals and Planning Board. Deb, I want to get you in touch this evening with the couple who wanted to be alternates and one each of the boards split, so that we can get that lined up. But also, if you're interested, please reach out to the village office, the village clerk, or Deb Alter. Hubbard Hall will be presenting a traveling Shakespeare comedy 12th night, or What You Will. One of the performances is in Wood Park on Sunday, August 18th at 1 p.m. We'll advertise this as well at the August meeting. And the main location is at the Immaculate Conception Church. Two quick things that came in today. The Village Water Department will be flushing hydrants for 2 days in July that will run from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. each day. During July 15th, hydrant flushing will commence in 2nd and 3rd Ward, and on July 16th, hydrant flushing will commence in 1st and 4th Ward.
Is that going to be announced
I'm
loudly?
Yes, I'm going to throw that up on Facebook either during or after the meeting on that. And the other one is the Greenway
and
one.
it's in the paper.
And it's already in the paper.
This coming Friday.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying.
I know, we have to, but
It would be pretty easy for us to put these two things up on the doors as well, which is announcements. And the second one I just got from Bobby a couple hours ago because he just heard it from the people in charge. The southern end right here of the Greenway, Waterworks Road, will be closed off for the remainder of the week. They're citing for pedestrian safety due to equipment use and large equipment in use and the nature of work they are doing. We're sorry for the late notice. We literally just found out about this like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, because
This is the
people working doing the water
installation.
and he just said that he apologizes, but the end of that said what people do is walk down the Greenway and come up and take the loop and come walk up this street, and they can't do that until after the end of the week.
Okay. Are they done in this area at the end of the week?
He just said down there. He didn't give me any details. All he told me was about the access point right by the bridge by the water plant.
I think we're going to be a couple more weeks down there.
A couple more weeks? Okay. That wasn't part of the plan, right? They thought they'd be...
they got their drill head stuck under that little bridge last week, and they've been digging to retrieve that for the last 4 days.
They got stuck under a bridge?
So there's that little bridge.
The bridge right by the water plant.
Yeah.
That's where they're working.
my house out there.
And they got their drill head stuck under there. They think they hit a concrete or a steel pillar for the bridge.
Ooh.
And tore up the head of their drill, so they had to dig and find it.
Alright. That sounds like fun.
So they were held up for like 4 days.
Alright. Thank you. I have two quick... I have the first quick update. This is actually an easy one. In the world of PFOA-related business and settlements, this class action national settlement was for water providers. It was with 3M and DuPont, so this is separate from individuals' class action settlements. It's separate from any villages disputes with St. Cobain and Honeywell. This is a separate one. I did a fair amount of work with Jim and Josh in collecting data, and a lot with Dave Engel, and we had a meeting Monday morning with the attorneys, and I am happy to say that our claim is officially in. They have all of the data they needed. They needed a substantial amount of data and backing for all of the well usage over the past 12 years. They needed all of the testing data because of the way the settlement is worked. It's all related to that, but we were able to get that done ahead of the deadline, which I want to say is the end of this week or early next week. No, I think it's next week. So that's in, and as soon as I know more, you guys will obviously hear about it first. But at this point, we're just waiting to hear what that award is going to be, and I don't know if that award it may be dependent on how many people get their claims in, so we may not know until after the deadline and they've done all their number crunching. But that could be a pretty decent, 6-figure award for the village. We're waiting to find out. I think that will assist us in terms of some of our planning for larger expenses and upcoming needs, and especially water related that would fit. So that's a big deal. It was a stupid amount of spreadsheets and data crunching, but if you ever want to look at it sometime, I will bore you to death with it all. Secondly, I have a few updates on the organizational meeting, the procurement policy, and the draft code of ethics. The organizational meeting itself has been, every time I jump into a new aspect of it, it becomes another rabbit hole. The organizational meeting approach that I had adopted from previous mayors that had been adopted from previous mayors that went back for probably decades in terms of format and approach and order. And as I started to dive into it more, talk to NICOM, talk to attorneys, Elena, who does her work for the town, had a lot of perspective on it. It just seemed like a lot of the things that we had been doing by rote were incorrect or out of compliance or off. So that was the rationale for not doing the organizational meeting last year. I do know, and I got confirmation from NICOM, that by not doing it, it just meant that everything stayed in place. We were still making appointments for other boards, and that always was staying in place. But I have all the documents ready for the organizational meeting tonight. We can go over them and look them over, and we can decide to actually have the organizational meeting tonight, or we can schedule it for another special meeting or a regular meeting. But one of the key things about the organizational meeting documents that I prepared was that this will be our new template going forward. So next year, built into it, my hope is that on April 1st, which is when the new terms would start for newly elected folks, and that's a Tuesday, it's my hope that we would have that board meeting, whatever board is there for that, because the elections will have changed things, that night. And we'll be able to start fresh in April of 2025. So along with that, we spent a lot of the late May, I think it was the May 29th special meeting going over the procurement policy, and we all worked together and came up with a really, really good procurement policy. One of the things I discovered is procurement policies are actually supposed to be approved via resolution on an annual basis. We had been approving it via motion as part of our overall organizational report, so that resolution is ready tonight. The code of ethics we've been talking about over emails and refining and getting a lot of information on for that. One of the things that I also discovered is that the code of ethics is not something that's required to be part of the organizational meeting, nor is it required to be done annually. It's a requirement to have it, but we don't have to do it on an annual basis. NICOM said you can either do it via resolution or via local law. And one of the things that Elena suggested that made sense is, and this is the way most municipalities do it, is if we do it via local law, then that will allow our any consequences coming out of unethical behavior as laid out in the Code of Ethics. That would give it teeth and allow consequences to act. If it were a resolution, it's probably a little bit less, more confusion, more gray, less teeth to it. It would take me a few minutes to kind of get out of all the other color coding that we did, but I feel like we were pretty much set on that. So if we wanted to either prepare to move forward with that as a local law, I don't have a resolution ready for that tonight, but we could.
You wouldn't do a resolution. You do a motion for a public hearing after it's introduced, but you wouldn't do a resolution to approve it yet, anyways.
Okay. Would we be introducing it as a local law?
You could do it that way.
Okay. So we have the option when we get there later in the meeting to do that. It'll just take me a few minutes on the computer to clean up some of the formatting because I didn't have a chance to do that today. So those are my few updates. Any questions? All right. Hearing none, we will go to the people to be heard section. Yeah, Bob. Oh, yeah, sorry. I completely forgot that again. So we had invited Chuck to be here, and my apologies, Chuck, for not getting this in the agenda in my flurry of activity today. Chuck has been with the village since 2011 through a number of different important duties, a lot of duties that we're not just serving the village, but we're in touch with the community on a regular basis. I knew you initially, both as your work as the transfer station and also cleaning up the village department, taking care of all the custodial duties there. He gave us his heads up a few weeks back that he would be, in a sense, retiring from his work for the village. And I just wanted to invite him here and thank him publicly for his service to the village, for being a great person out there on behalf of the village, communicating with community members, discussing needs that the village office and transfer station had. So, Chuck, thank you so much. Trustees, does anyone else want to add into that?
Yeah, Chuck, thank you so much. And I just wanted to, I've already heard a complaint that you're gone, and the people that go in there, Keith doesn't know the signal that when it's okay, when they just got to go in and put stuff at they're just dumping recyclables, and, you know, they don't have to stop the vehicle. He's got to give them the hand wave. So I just don't want.
Some people have to have the joke of the day.
The tricks of the trade, you didn't leave everything with Keith. You kept some secrets. But thanks, Chuck.
He'll do good up there.
I know he will. He's a good replacement for you.
So, Chuck, on behalf of the village board, village employees, thank you for your service. You will be very much missed. Enjoy retirement life. Catch fish. Do lots of, I don't know, whatever you're going to do during retirement.
Whatever Dan wants to do. Right?
That's how catch it released.
And thank you, not just for serving for this time, but also thank you for allowing him to serve the village for this time. So thank both of you very much. Well, again, thank you, Chuck. And as a going away present, you are welcome to stay for the next several hours of the board meeting.
Or you can leave.
No place to wear money.
Not anymore.
You'll have to stop by and give Keith some jokes from time to time itself.
There's probably X-Lax involved.
Okay. We are at the people to be heard section. As we normally do, as required, we ask that you begin with your full name and street address. Please share or speak to the board what you'd like to discuss. As a reminder, we record all of these meetings via audio, and they're available on YouTube. Can I just get a quick idea on who would like to speak this evening? 1, 2. All right. Who would like to go first?
Kevin.
Kevin, would you like to go first?
Sure.
Thank you, Kevin O'Malley.
Do you have any update on local law number 2 and 3 of 2023?
You are referring to the junk cars and the
Vacant property?
vacant property registration. Mark?
I've written the junk car a couple times.
How many junk cars do you think that we've already cited so far?
I noticed something today with, in the course of doing things, but no, I haven't gone out looking for that.
Well, I did provide a whole list of addresses and whole list of where the cars are, so.
Yeah, and I just haven't gotten to it.
Okay.
It's not on the early list. The other one, as far as I've gotten on that one, is I spoke to Attorney Gilchrist about trying to work through coming up with the process to send out the letters, everything that's going to be required to work through that. And I did forward a request to you because, just to authorize that that's going to be okay for him to take on that habit.
I mean, didn't Dan already do the letter, and you already authorized in the law to tow the cars if they weren't?
I thought we did.
Wait, are we talking junk cars or vacant properties? I'm sorry. Were you talking about the letter for junk cars or the letter for vacant properties?
I stopped. I
Yes,
started
that's
with junk cars and I went to the vacant properties.
All right, so back to junk cars. You've cited them. There's a letter. There's a ticket. That's been done, and that's moving.
removal.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of, I got one guy coming in the door, on Church Street.
That was one of the ones on your list, Kevin, was the
Yeah,
ones.
I have more too, but I'm not gonna send any.
So you have to go through the court process for the junk cars, or they just get towed?
So I'm gonna start bringing it to court.
So have they any paid yet?
Well, actually, they don't have to go to court by the law. You send them a letter, if they don't comply with it.
Then we tow.
They're towed.
That's what we're supposed to do.
There
That's
was a
what the law
couple,
we got.
there was a couple I discussed with Mark because they were already in court on other ordinances. We were going to add that on, so I don't know if that's one of them, but I know that we have had that discussion that if they're already in court, that we would try to facilitate it through the court process as like a whole cleanup of the property.
That's Could it be
I
made,
don't know- I don't
couldn't the
know.
junk car thing be made more of a priority? Maybe put on pause for a month or two, the biannual inspections, which I think he's caught up on, and focus on the junk cars and the vacant property.
Why
law.
would you think I'm caught up on buying new inspections?
Well, one of the landlords just told me you did an inspection of his property that wasn't due for 3 more months.
I'd like to hear which, I know that was, but, yeah, I'm not caught up on, that's an ongoing, basis. If you ever stopped in to see me, Kevin, I would gladly show you the process I have in process for, biannual inspections, pre-tenant inspections, and what I do.
Mark, I've been sending you the same junk cars since.
Hey, wait, guys, just as a point of order for this, I want to make sure Kevin has the time. We don't have to respond to him. I will respond at the end, but I want Kevin to have the time to talk. This is not the time for a back and forth, but Kevin, the time is still yours.
If you want to clean up the village, you need to enforce these local laws. I know you added 15 hours a week to the budget for a helper for Mark. Have you hired anybody yet?
Nope, that's on the agenda to discuss.
Have you interviewed anybody yet?
What's that?
Have you interviewed anybody yet?
We have not.
So how long does it take to train this person once you do hire somebody?
If you get somebody who's qualified, it won't take long at all.
It depends. Yeah, it depends on the candidates and who ends up getting hired.
We have to announce, I don't think we've announced it.
We haven't done the job description. I thought we were working on the job description, weren't we? That was the last month we talked about the job description.
We
I
get that
thought.
from civil service.
Yeah, and
Right, we
I
don't
spoke
make
with
jobs.
Civil Service today.
No, I understand that. Okay.
They have a job description and a list for a code enforcement officer, but they didn't know if that applied to part-time hires as opposed to full-time. I don't think it does, but they were supposed to call me back. It was Jeanette I spoke to, and then Irene, but they were not able to call me back at the end of the day today. So more info is coming on that. I don't think technically it's going to require much more than a motion to advertise the position. I don't even know if that advertising needs a position. It's just a matter of
There's no motion to advertise on.
yeah.
The part-time position, I looked at, we have the binder of workable positions around
Mhm.
County. There's no part-time position, any of that realm that is competitive, so they're all gonna fall under non-competitive, so we don't need to pull from the civil service list and all that nonsense.
Well, that being said, even though we don't need a motion, I'd like to entertain a motion that we move forward and begin actively pursuing hiring a
I'll
part-time
second that.
code enforcement assistant.
I'll second it.
Sure. It's already on the agenda to discuss, but any further discussion on this?
I would like to know, what is that process?
Yep.
Interviewing, who's responsible, who's gonna be on the board that's involved in that process?
Typically, we have 1 to 3 trustees. Typically, it's the mayor, the deputy mayor. Typically, we have the trustee who oversees that department. It would, in situations like when we were hiring DPW employees or when we were hiring police employees, the department head would be involved in that as well.
So the mayor and deputy mayor is gonna be involved in that?
And Deb, aren't you in charge of code enforcement, right?
Yep.
So you'd definitely be in the middle of it too.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
who's gonna be on the code enforcement committee once you do finally do
Well, the
Organizational
organizational meeting agenda is there if you want to take a look at it, because it does have the tentative
Yeah, it's
committee
already on
reports,
there.
but we still have to discuss that and finalize that this evening.
Also, how do you run it?
Yeah, it has the old.
Kevin and Bobby Decker.
What's that?
It has the old people on it.
Yes.
Did I
Yep.
print out the wrong
Has
file?
Bobby Decker on it?
I wonder if I put in the wrong, because there was supposed to be a bunch of vacancies.
So you're still doing events, right?
Oh no, I copied in the wrong list. I will update this because the proper list was supposed to have certain vacancies listed. It was, I don't know where this one came from. Well, when we get there, I'll copy that in and I'll put it up on the screen.
So, I just think these are huge quality of life issues for the community.
I agree.
I think they should be front and center on what the village is doing.
Especially with our anniversary coming up. You can't be running around doing this the night before it's our anniversary.
Okay.
We gotta start now.
Anything else, Kevin?
No, the other thing, any update on the Catania property?
Did I talk to you about that?
You did.
That was a scam.
Maybe Dan can discuss it. Doug actually knew about it too, but a real estate company
We
put up.
talked about it last time, didn't
Yeah,
No,
but then
it
there
happened
was,
after that.
Doug sent the email out, and then I don't know what.
We've all talked about
we?
it.
We talked about it on our special meeting.
I
It was
spoke
a
with the realtor.
scam. Yeah.
And I said, who authorized the sale? And she said, Mr. Catania. And I said, well, there's either one or two things has happened. Either you're involved in, you're getting scammed, or there's been a holy resurrection. Mr. Catania has been deceased since last year.
And
well,
there's
this
no
guy-
heirs.
Yeah, well, this guy, so she called him and said that, I understand he must be a junior, and I'm very sorry to hear about your father, and the guy sounded confused, and then she asked him for documents from the probate court or something showing that he was, A, related, and B, executive will. She never heard another thing from him, so I think we can safely assume that that was probably.
Have they taken the?
It's such a
the
crazy
real-
coincidence, though.
Did they take the signs down? She
The
said.
signs are gone.
Okay, she
Yeah.
said.
It's such a crazy coincidence, though, that we've been so focused on that property, and then
Yeah.
everybody goes, ooh.
So when that happened, I went down to the county clerk's office to see if there's any change in ownership or any other information, and they said, no, it's still under Jack Catania. So I went to, they said, go to the probate court, the Superior Court, check with them, and I checked there, and there was no different activity.
It would be in New Jersey, though.
This is before we found out it was a scam. Then I called New Jersey where he had died, and they said there's no activity yet on his estate. But they did say that the village had called the Attorney General's office in New Jersey to try to, and let them know about what the status is of his property here with the embankment caving in.
Okay. That is good to know. Thank you, Kevin.
So it's quite possible that he has true intestate estate where there's just
It's likely.
there's no relative, no
It's-
heir,
yeah.
no nothing. And it
There was
becomes-
I found a video from a TV station in New Jersey that he died alone and that someone paid for his grave.
Yeah, we
Yeah, we saw that. Yeah, it was a
8 months later.
Yeah.
yeah, and it was a. I think it was a New Jersey representative, some elected
No, it's a
official.
vet group, I think.
Okay, I feel like there was a representative
was
there,
a
but
vet.
that was another office I was thinking about reaching
The
out
ironic
to
part is
see.
you, I think it was you, somebody posted a picture on Hoosick Falls Here and Now, no, past and present, past and whatever it is, the history. And it was a picture of Jack Catania and some other people in front of, I think it was, Sadie Daniels, trying to save the building. Because how terrible would it be if you let a beautiful old building fall into disarray?
I think there was some connection.
Meanwhile, he tore his own down. We'll see.
I think there's some connection between him and the Daniels family. I think that's how he ended up here.
That makes sense.
Oh, now it really
All the
makes
sense
sense.
in the world.
All right, thank you, Kevin, for
So
the
other
AG
thing
office
is,
info.
On Saturday during the summer concert, we're dedicating the trees that were planted in Wood
Sa-
Park.
This Saturday or was it last
It's
Saturday?
coming up this Saturday.
This
I think I
Saturday.
said last Saturday in my email, but it's this Saturday. I had a plaque made and with a picture of Al Hannon's staff on it, the coffee tree, and we're gonna, I'm gonna present it to them at the concert.
What time are you
So
doing that?
Village officials wanna come by and
When?
say
When
thank
is it?
you. Saturday, probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock.
All right, thank you.
And also, a lot of the trees that they planted are being stressed by the hot weather, so Kenny got 100 feet of hose, and then Al Hannon got another 100 feet so we could water the coffee tree that's across the Wood Park Lane, or not Wood Park, Wooded Way.
Okay.
By St. Mark's.
Yeah.
Kev, what time did you say?
6:30 or 7.
How many trees were planted?
Maybe 8. We raised, Hoosick Rising raised
8.
Yeah, there's
$20,000 Now, Hannon probably did, including the trees, probably $100,000 worth.
Significant discounts,
Yeah.
like ridiculous.
Well, I think they donated most of them, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And, what is it? Whipstock Hill also donated a large sum of money. They donated 10,000 of that, $20,000.
Is
The
that
rest
the,
was individuals from around.
is
the
the
area.
whipstock, is that the mine?
Yeah,
The mine raised fund money to
they get money from the mine to do environmental projects. I think they gave money to just recently to the Greenway for stone dust on the southern end.
Oh, that's where the money came from. Okay.
All right.
Makes sense. Down
All right.
north end.
And who's that, Kevin?
What's that?
What's Whipstock?
The Whipstock
Whipstock
Association.
Society.
Yeah.
It was put in place when they were building the mine for.
When the town was fighting the mine,
Yeah.
and I would let the mine go
The
in.
one on the bottom.
That was
Yes.
as a committee, just to keep an eye on the mine, make sure they're doing
No
what they were
idea.
supposed to do.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you.
Rob, are we gonna talk more about the, on the agenda, I think it's later on, about the part-time code enforcement?
Yes, on the agenda, we'll
So
definitely
we can
discuss
talk
it more.
About trying to get, what we need to do to get.
Absolutely.
The eyesores cleaned up.
Yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, and especially troubling for me, living next to one of those properties. I think I sent you the picture of my email. It's been 6 years now where it's been vacant. And I told you before, woodchucks, skunks coming in and out of the
Do you know how
house.
long is it kept? Is it a bank or is it a
Hole in the
person?
foundation.
A
What's
what?
that? Hole in the foundation. He comes and mows it, but that's about all he does.
But a person owns it or a bank owns it?
He don't know.
This would be a good thing to follow up with Mark on this property and find out what the history is.
It's probably gonna be another fiasco too with all these properties that just got sold by Rensselaer County because the one at the corner of Church and Cary just sold again.
No. Did they come and look at it first?
Probably not.
Thanks.
All right, we got to keep meeting moving. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
Jason.
Thanks, guys.
The zoning board is still very much interested in having 6-foot fences at the rear properties be legal, unless there's extenuating circumstances and the code enforcement officer sees that it needs to be a zoning meeting for it. Is that right?
I have it in my notes from last time.
Say that again, Jason, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah.
6-foot fences should
Yeah.
be legal in the back.
So there's no need for a special permit like you have to get now.
And this,
Correct, unless code enforcement officer sees that there's some situation that may prompt a meeting, in which case the zoning board will have to meet.
Is that like in a case where you have your adjoining property owners have no issue with it first? I mean, that would be the
Yeah, it
first.
should still be noticed, I imagine.
nope,
No.
nope.
No?
Nope.
No, no, if,
So
no,
there
if
can't
you make
be-
it legal,
there
then they
can't
don't have
be-
to
no.
notice.
Right, there can't be like discretion like that unless you're gonna ask for a variance. So if the idea is to avoid the need for area variances, and I know we discussed this, and I had suggested going from the rear property line back, because that's what a lot of other municipalities do. Right now, the way that this, code reads is that they can't have 6-foot fences at all anywhere on residential property. So to make a carve out at least for that, for the rear, because that's usually where people will want the privacy. The village may not want people putting up 6-foot fences in their front yards, especially like close to a main street, you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. So there would still be situations in which they would have to go for an area variance if required, but this would limit the number that come in because most of them do get approved. But you can't make it discretionary or else then it would still go to the zoning board and we wouldn't make an exception for it.
So do we need to make a local law, amend a local law?
We would have to do an introduction of a local law to amend the local law, yes.
I would suggest that.
We can do that, but because it's zoning code, then we have to, it's a more of a process than usual, we have to do seeker, we have to have the county referral and all that
Yep.
stuff. So we can certainly do that, it's just, my suggestion would be if we're going to make zoning code changes, we kind of do it all in this one larger packet at one time versus piecemeal, just because it is a lengthier process. So I don't know if anybody wants to work with me on that, but I'm happy to.
Is there more, Jason, that you know of offhand?
Not really. I mean, it's just, the zoning board meets for the same thing almost every time. I've been on the board for 4 or 5 years and all but 2, maybe 3 things have been 6-foot fences.
I would.
Is that about right, Mark? Yes.
This is actually a situation where the past me has been like, let's do what Elena said and let's get all the information together and revise it. But I always know that takes too long and there's too many things going on. I'd love to just see this one thing get done.
Unless there's some other pressing issue, and I'm not hearing there's any other pressing.
From my standpoint, it's not just necessarily, I wouldn't say that there's pressing issues, but it's not necessarily just like a ZBA situation. The zoning code is kind of all encompassing of a lot of planning related activity within the village. And I don't think it's been looked at as a whole in a while. I know
Not
that
since 2017 when B&L,
Yeah, they didn't really change anything, they just.
they took all of the old and put it into one, but I don't think there was much like
Yeah, but
future
if there's
thinking.
No, it's still, and it's on my list of things that I'm.
So I'd love to see a
focusing
local
on.
law be put together with Elena's help, the local law committee, and Mark, and Jason, and anyone else in the zoning board who sort of wanted to offer ideas. I know it's technically not their job to legislate, but they're the ones out in the, field having to deal with this. And
Just coming from the perspective of a local law guy here.
Yeah.
Elena, do you know of anything else offhand that needs to be, is there anything that jumps in?
not offhand, but I can take a look through the zoning
So-
code and just see. I know that there's been things that we've talked about over time that's just not coming to my head without going back and looking at my notes.
Thanks, Chuck.
And some of it just might be like harsher penalties for certain things, or, you know what I mean, like adding certain things that don't currently exist. It might not be necessarily like altering what's there, but essentially improving it based on some of the discussions that we've had over time.
I mean, I would,
thank you guys very much.
a comprehensive review of zoning law, we're not gonna get it done for 8 months and a whole
No.
year. If there's low lying fruit, if we can tag on to this relatively quickly, within next month, I give that to you, and
It's
then
gonna
let
be-
the
well,
process be more
The
inclusive.
process will probably, because usually we introduce the local law, call for a public hearing. Next meeting, have the public hearing, potentially have a resolution on to approve it. There's a couple other steps in that process, so it'll probably be an extra month.
Okay.
Just to set or, you know what I mean, set expectations where.
And we can't do anything now, like, because it's not an actual.
We'd have to prepare the whole local law.
And we have to go through and see where it's, you know what I mean, we actually have to look through the
I would
sections.
sit with you and do that.
We can do that.
I'd let you-
Yeah,
It's not, it's,
I'd be really glad.
I missed
I
what
mean,
you said. I'm
we're sort
sorry.
of familiar with it, because you and I went through it, at least put
Yep.
it in chronological.
Yeah, and it's online. I mean, that was part of the.
yeah,
the
that
nice
one's
thing.
because it's online, it's a little bit easier to tackle than going back and trying to find.
Did your
I have a
schedule
silly
be
question though.
introduce it at the next meeting if it's ready? Public
But we
hearing
should be
for
able
the
to have it
meeting
ready for the next
after.
meeting, yeah, and then you have to call for the public hearing. I'll
Get
have to
approval
look-
from the county,
we have to do
seeker
seeker and all that stuff too,
determinations. So it's possible the earliest we would have it
yeah.
ready.
3 meetings.
September.
3 meetings.
3 meetings.
Oh, October.
Could we have the public hearing at the second public meeting from now, and then possibly pass it at that point as well, if we so
I
chose?
don't think so because of the seeker and the county referral, but
Okay.
maybe, I just think that usually draws it out a whole nother meeting with
Okay.
the extra stuff in there.
All right. Well, we're
I have
sort
a
of.
silly question.
Yeah.
When we do like the junk car law and
Mhm.
the abandoned building law, is that part of the zoning law? Is
I
that-
specifically did it so it wasn't part of the zoning law, so.
Do we want it to be part of the zoning law? I mean, is that what, should it be under, I don't know, I'm guessing.
It doesn't necessarily have to be because the zoning law is gonna be more to like the use of the property and like, you know, accessory structures and that kind of thing. Those can be separate, especially the junk cars. I mean, there could be an argument that you could add the
I
vacant
mean, I don't know what
properties to it,
difference it
but.
makes.
I mean,
These
the
are
reason we did it
nuisances.
was because then we would have to go through
Right.
all of this and it was an easier, faster way forward. And since, I mean, it's related to zoning, but it's not, again, it doesn't go to the use of the property, it doesn't go to like the accessory structures or building on the property and that kind of stuff.
It's more public nuisances.
Right, so that's why we did it
And we're
as
not saying
separate and apart.
this area of the community can have junk cars or.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we're saying it's not.
Yeah, you can run
I
a
know.
junkyard
Thank you.
at the board, right?
Yeah, once we open up that door, it's going off.
And then they eat fried chickens across the street from Dan.
No, not anymore.
No,
It hasn't smelled in 2 years, by the way. Because you're used to it.
Besides that tree one.
that was
You
good,
got,
Jason,
think
thank
you got
you.
used to it, Dan. Because you got used to the smell. I might have.
Oh, what a dingo.
All right.
So we are gonna move on that.
Jason, did you have anything else?
Yep.
Go for it.
Megan Albert apologizes that she cannot be here, but she is in DC working on the anniversary situation for the village.
Oh, I saw a picture of her.
Yeah.
Not very kind of her.
I should let everybody know that the historic preservation commission of Hoosick Falls is in the process of writing the ordinance. We've been meeting, and it's just about ready to submit to you guys next week. The only thing we're negligent on with that is the village really has no direction or no mission statement. So void of that, we're kind of ready to rock and roll, and then she's going to use that once we get our ordinance to hopefully maybe put some near forward money together for the historic property preservation commission to maybe do some mapping and some surveys and kind of get that organization up and
They
running.
need a mission statement for the commission.
The ordinance, correct. Whatever you want.
Oh, you're talking about the purpose in the beginning of the law?
Yeah, I mean, we have all that, but the village doesn't really have one.
Well, we have that vision for.
We don't even have a
forward.
comprehensive plan.
Correct, that's what we're
Really?
kind of looking towards that.
Yeah, I would use that. I mean, that's,
We don't really have it. We don't.
No, well, some like my shop, I have a couple things I can show you.
I'm confused. We don't have the mission statement, or we don't have an overall
vision statement.
vision statement for everything.
From what I understand, neither. Good? Where did it?
Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a vision statement as part of the thing that created it. All right, we'll revisit it, and if there are any suggestions on key things that she
Yeah,
wants
if you have it,
included,
we can copy and paste it right into our ordinance, because like I said, we've been meeting, we're just about done.
Yeah,
So this will be like a,
Will we see a draft of the ordinance, because that will help us,
for sure.
that will help us understand what you're
Yeah,
looking for.
Mary Ann's just like putting the final touches on it, it's ready to go.
I think there's a purpose statement, but not a statement of what they want to achieve.
okay.
As far as the historical structure.
Okay.
What's the goal? I think this is what we're doing, this is why we exist, but I don't think there's a.
I would be very glad to hear what you guys want the goal to be.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, come back and propose it.
Yeah.
We're meeting again, I think, next week, we'll report it right after you. Like I said, I probably could have had it like
Too much, don't worry.
Eh,
Alright, next up is Murphy Building. I know the county owns it, but I know the village doesn't have the best relationship with the county, but that doesn't mean it's not an opportunity to put that together. There's a lot of village organizations that could use the county building, the Murphy Building, so it's just something that's like food for thought. I know you guys want to remodel the village offices and take away some space from Hudson, so, you know, getting him out and overreading some of the other space, and then also maybe putting a Unity House. Like, I see that truck driving through town, and they used to come through, and they still do it, they do it remotely, but, you know, for them to have a place to shack up would be pretty rad.
Yeah, I don't know what happened at the armory with that.
There occasionally the person left, now they're trying to train a new one.
But right now, they're parking out in front of the, well, the weather's good, they're parking out in front of the police station, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it's.
Yeah, they are, yeah, I stop every week and talk to the guy.
Yeah, they're cool.
Their van broke
Oh, they're
down,
really
so
great
they weren't
people.
there this week.
What's that?
Their van is broke, so they weren't there this week.
Well, we need to have an approach for all the public projects for New York Forward that the village will do, as well as probably get a grant writer to be able to put that, we got till August 7th, so time is going by fast.
Yeah.
And that would be considered in that process, right?
Well, it's easy to spend $4.5 million, it's not bad.
No, but- Oh, yeah.
Not with all the process we have
And
to
it's gotta
do.
fit within the priorities process of the full project.
And we don't get
We
it.
need to look at what the public house elements were in the proposal, probably reprice things like sidewalks, and I would say we gotta get quotes.
Yeah.
Street lighting.
Well,
we have
that's
to
the
write
thing,
that up.
somebody, did we talk about hiring somebody to write our proposal?
It was,
Before, I thought we did.
I thought we
I
did.
mean, I threw out somebody.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
We're gonna have somebody if we're gonna get it done.
And we need to soon, because it's August 7th, I do, right?
Yeah.
So we need to know what we want, we need to have our estimates and everything else, and we need to have somebody to write.
Because I believe the public projects are in the hopper just with all the other ones too.
Everything has to be
Yeah.
submitted,
Yeah.
all of them. And the initial submission is August 7th, and then there's more time to work out all the additional details that they need.
Now, interestingly, I don't know if it's a conflict with you or me to be involved in putting together a proposal on behalf of the village.
I think that we can work as a village to propose it, but when they come up to the LPC, we're part of the village, we're out on this one. That's my take on it, and yeah.
Well, They can tell, the guy who,
Yeah,
the
they'll- yeah.
co-chair will tell you.
Yes, and we have a co-chair, so if I as a co-chair step out and recuse myself, it's fine. So yeah, yep. All right, Jason, was that it?
I want to thank Libby and Alana for always putting these meetings together the second Wednesday of the month. I'm sure they get a bunch of stuff dropped on their desk this day every month. So thanks for hanging in and doing it.
Yes, and even now, our things are printed on 2 sides. Thank you for that. It's huge.
The trees.
It's big.
Saving a tree. I like that.
Yes, Maria.
All right, on to reports. Police report. Sergeant Hudson. Anything you want to highlight? Oh, you got me the ticket information. Let's add that onto ours. Traffic ticket.
19.
We didn't have the number for the report, so you'll see empty boxes there. So for the month of June, 19 traffic tickets
11 parking.
and 11 parking. Thank you. That was the only thing that wasn't in the report there. Sorry, Sergeant. Please continue.
So we've been having, as of late, you can see we've had some mechanical issues. One car went for a new siren controller. That car's back. One car we're waiting for the new computers to come in because the computer has completely died. Expected, it's about 11 years old. 503 is back, but it's going to go back up once the part comes in, which is going to be a sit and wait part. 502 is at Performance Auto. There was an incident last evening where a suspect kicked both rear windows out of the patrol car, as well as partially kicked the cage out behind the driver. So it damaged the doors, the windows, and the prisoner cage divider.
Body cam footage
I didn't get to
He
look
was
at
in
it.
the person was in the car?
or municipal? Was it at the municipal building?
No, it was in the car.
Was a car at the municipal building?
No, he was
Okay.
driving towards Cambridge.
Okay.
So,
Elena, what's our procedure for following through on that? Is it contact the insurance first?
we've already done it.
I was gonna say, yeah.
You're already on it.
Way
Okay.
past it.
Great. Thank you. One last thing.
Yeah, so that ball started real quick this morning. So once I got the call at 2 a.m.,
Uh,
the car was, after they got the guy out of it, the car was taken out of service. As soon as Denise came in, she already had the email waiting for her. She then contacted the insurance company, Officer Alexonis, then brought the car immediately up to Performance Auto. They're going to complete the estimate on the vehicle, based on what Officer Alexonis has told me. More than likely gonna need both rear doors.
ooh.
This is one guy?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He is currently incarcerated in Rensselaer County Jail. He was
Mhm.
brought down there about 2 hours ago.
Are there additional charges?
Just the penalty of criminal mischief to property.
Okay.
He's already on bail from Washington County, so that was an automatic
Right back.
Casco.
Okay.
Yeah. That just goes down. So once that car gets back from that, it's due to get tires and its brakes checked because it's got quite a few miles on it, so it needs to get serviced. 5 is actually going to go to Gordon. It's good that it's out of service because it hadn't been able to go to Gordon yet because of his move. So once he is available, he's going to do a full PM and tires on that once he's able to get it in. So, saving money, we're going to be going to Outlook 365, Office 365, whichever you call it. We're switching everything from Google to Office. There's a number of reasons for that. One, it's cheaper. 2, our Motorola platform utilizes what's called Azure, and everything that we do now has to be MFA. Which is multi-factor authentication. So it's gonna be a lot easier to do on Office 365.
Does that mean PCs in the office will be user specific?
So, on that, coming down the pike, once we get the new server, which we're looking at a install date of the 25th for the server. So we're gonna do some, I'll talk to you later about wires and things like that.
Okay.
I already have help coming to help me with wires, we just have to get wire and things. So, the 25th, we're looking to put the server in. Once the server's in and up, we will then have what's called an active directory. Every officer will have their own login to every computer in the station,
Good.
minus booking, because that one we can't do that too.
Mm-hmm.
They will also have their own login to every patrol car.
Good.
Part of the tech grant was we were doing away with the old school Wi-Fi jetpacks in the cars, and every car is going to have its own cradle point, which is a much more sophisticated internet. It's more reliable than the jetpack. Due to the throughput we're putting through it, we're going to have two cars. We're going to have an LPR going through it. All the cars are going to have cameras going through it, so it's going to allow for a more reliable system. That's also why we're going for multi-factor, so everything's more secure. The state's pushing this, so we're doing this all at the perfect time.
Great.
So that's coming.
That's fantastic.
So I just have to let, what's his name, Ryan know to go ahead with the office, and then we're gonna start making the switch.
Have you talked with Denise about canceling the MiFis yet?
No, that's me.
That's you?
I'm the administrator on that one.
Okay.
Denise and I are both, so she handles.
She pays the bills, but you'll cancel it so the bills will stop
Yeah,
coming.
so if like Kenny needs a phone, or Cecilia needs a phone, she does that, and then I do all our stuff.
Okay. All right.
Once
Fantastic.
I get them, I just go in and shut it off. A lot of the tech grant stuff has come in. We did receive the funds last week. So the LPRs are in, the in-car cameras are in, the body cameras are in. Some of the computer stuff's in, some of the computers are coming, some of the rest of the computer stuff's coming over the next couple of weeks. Once the computer stuff's in, I have to physically install the computers. And then Vericom, which used to be Wells Communication, is installing the cameras and the LPRs. The radios are 12 to 16 weeks out, so we've decided that we're going to put everything else in place, especially after last night's incident. We're going to get everything else in, and then we'll take the cars apart again to put the radios in. The drone should be here. I'm really hoping it's going to be here next week because we're drone training next week. But it's either going to be here next week or the week after. Which we actually got ahead of everybody else doing this. We're ahead of every other agency because everybody else has got the orders in and other stuff. So.
Are you doing the
Great.
training yourself, or?
Drone training?
Yeah.
No, that's part of the county team. So
How many of our officers are going to be trained on it?
Once they take the course, it'll be an option for them to take the course, take it online, and then go take the test through the FAA.
Mm-hmm.
No, FFA. Whatever it is. I don't know. Whatever. Bunch of acronyms.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
FFA's.
They gotta get a pilot license.
Yeah. That's yeah.
What's FAA's, whatever. They gotta go get their license.
Okay.
Officer Fisher has expressed interest in doing it. Officer Waters has expressed interest in doing it, so.
Good. Good.
Have expressed interest. So part of the team right now is some members of, actually it's gonna go down to one member of dispatch for Rensselaer County, and the rest are deputies and myself.
Great.
The LPR, John, the portable, we don't have a spot to plug that in yet, or do we?
So the fixed one is up. We went to put it up, and we found out that the light poles, the outlets on the light poles, are not live 24/7.
They only come on when the lights.
No, come on, they're only nighttime, nighttime activated.
You want to put a camera?
So, I was very upset. So it actually may be moving actually in front of your shop because I've been watching the lights to see which ones come on and off. And for some reason, the ones in front of your shop on John Street never shut off. Kenny, don't fix that.
It's probably just a matter of you cleaning the photo cell eye.
Don't do that. So don't do that. So we're gonna put it there. I've talked with Bobby, and hopefully once they do the light project, and I've talked to, remind me of his name, Scott. The hope is that once they do the light project, they can run that extra circuit line, whatever it's called, to
Okay.
make the outlets live at that time.
Separate from
the light.
That's great.
So that's, I've talked to Bobby about it, and hopefully he can get with the contract.
Reach out to,
That's great.
reach out to Realtor.
And then figure out how to make that.
Yep.
Once we do that, we can put it on any village-owned pole without permission. If we go to any other pole, it is allowed loops.
Okay.
Right now, it is up. Motorola graciously gave us a solar panel. It's up, probably nobody's even noticed it's up. It's right in front of Walgreens, between Walgreens and KeyBank, up on a pole. It's watching that intersection, which it's not getting really good reads, so we're gonna move it. It works off of Verizon Cellular. We put the card in, and it sends back. So it's up, but it's not doing exactly what it's supposed to do yet, because it's still in the, we're still in the testing phases. CAD is huge. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow, I have been in a training for the new CAD system.
This is the county-wide CAD system, right?
Yes. This new CAD system, I will say, is leaps and bounds to what we have now. And I've talked with Captain Walreed a lot, because we're both taking it. We found that technology-wise, where the village is compared to other municipalities, we are far ahead of them.
It's nice to be ahead of the curve once. just once. It's nice to be ahead of the curve.
For example, like when we said, how do you do like your tracking of paperwork? And we're like, oh, we use SJS and we do it this way and that way. And everybody's looking at me like, what? So this new system is going to do our evidence. We have to purchase a couple of things. We will have to purchase a $6,000 VPN, which is 2 VPNs. It has to be purchased through him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
No, that's fine. I understand that.
But the other equipment, like the barcode for our evidence, our barcode readers, our printers, computer, we will buy that through us. Which most of it, they said I can probably just go onto Amazon, get it, and as long as it meets the specs, we're good.
When are they expecting this system to be online?
February,
As in 2025 February?
yes. We are actually, what we're doing now is we're building it. So we're all sitting in the room, going over how we want the system built and what it's gonna do. It's going to take over our report system. It's going to take over our ticketing system. It may also take over parking tickets. Which brings up, I need every single local law that is currently active.
On parking tickets specific? Or just everything?
Every local law that we would have that would be enforceable by the police department,
Okay.
I need to provide to Tyler so that they can put it in to the system.
Okay.
It's a law. So it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna be evidence, it's gonna track sex offenders, it's going to track our warrants.
Local laws via PDF?
Yes. Warrants is huge because we have a lot of back warrants. It's gonna track those.
Then we're back to our local law project.
It's going to track the vehicles, a check sheet and all that stuff. So when the officer actually logs into CAD, it's going to mandate that they put in a vehicle mileage and that they completed a complete thorough vehicle check
That's great.
every shift.
I would love.
There's a lot more coming, so over the next couple of days, we're actually building the software. I think in a couple more months, we're all gonna come back together, and do more. Officer Davick thought that he was gonna dodge the whole CAD bullet and not have to learn the new CAD system, nor train people.
He will.
But, yep, we were all giggling because I said, I know who my train the trainer is gonna be because he's retiring in November.
If there's a chance to offer the Village of Hoosick Falls Police Department as a test group to start working on this stuff.
We probably will be one of the tests because Captain Walry and I are close, and a lot of our stuff that we do here is identical to what the sheriff's office does.
Yeah.
We've noticed that everybody else is doing things very differently.
Well, if you need extra support from us to,
Different.
I-
So
I'm
we
up
may
for
have
that.
to get other things, but yeah, that's been huge over the last couple of days. I am, with recent events, I've been reaching out to, I know we've talked about the leasing of vehicles. I have been reaching out to this whole meeting, I've been talking to other chiefs and things like that. Reaching out to dealers on options on how to get vehicles, leasing, things like that, so we're
good.
all throwing ideas around and trying to figure that out.
Trustees, any questions?
Oh, good.
All very good stuff, thank you. Looking for motion to approve the code, or the code, not yet. The police department report, Deb, second, Brett, thank you for the discussion.
Oh, accreditation is starting, the mayor's going to be signing a piece of paper.
Whee!
It's
Okay,
gonna be fun.
that sounds good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed or abstentions? Carries. Thank you, Sergeant. Code enforcement officer. Mark, I noticed, I think probably the fewest active village court cases in recent history, with just 3.
Well, we've had probably the most consistent stretch of village court proposals
Beautiful,
recently.
beautiful.
So, I've got a couple teed up for next month, that I'm gonna be working on. We had court yesterday, we did close out a violation for burning, where we got $100 fine
Okay,
for somebody burning in their driveway. I had another burning complaint that, the police department was involved in, that the guy didn't show up, so I don't know. They'll have one more opportunity to show up for the next court date, but that's the big thing, is, having that consistency, where we now have a day at a time that seems to work, for everybody.
with the burning violations, what's the procedure that gets them to court? Like, do you have to witness it? Do the police reports have to be
I
there?
did not witness the one where the guy didn't show up, police department did, they sent me pictures, so I used based on theirs.
Okay,
So, I expect maybe 114 Church Street will end up in court. I did see the guy there.
Did you move again?
Bobby.
He moved.
Bobby.
He moved, I saw him
So
move.
based on Bobby's statement, that he
He never
actually
moved.
saw him move.
In the chair.
Yeah.
It's freaking weird.
I saw him stand up.
That's all I'm saying.
So I've never seen him move. I was wondering if we weren't being set up.
I'm still gonna have a new owner in like 2 weeks anyway, so.
Yeah, so I must do just that.
is that through the auction, Jason?
No, my homies just bought big cash.
I know. what
Really?
it is. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Say that again, Jason, I'm sorry.
My buddy bought it and it's under contract, so.
I saw him, was he
great
there
news.
today, Jason? Was he there?
He's tall with a bunch of tattoos and.
I don't, a big
There's one there?
big guy with a black pickup truck.
Yeah. He's like my
And
age.
he's gonna rehab it to
Alright,
his
he's
apartment? 'Cause that's,
retired.
could be such a cool building.
Yeah, he's a retired electrician from North Jersey, in New York City, so.
That's
He was
fantastic.
committing, he'll be fine with the main stuff.
He-
He's basically the opposite of.
So the other people are out, they're
I
gone?
spoke to him this,
Yeah, great guy.
so I sent him the information that I had him.
That's terrific.
So the people are out?
He's also the
Well,
opposite.
no, they put it for sale, it's not out
That part
yet.
hasn't changed. That's news to me. I just know people were
That
in.
project's gonna be fine.
Ah, that's great news. I've been worried about that property. Great.
I did.
Mark, other items you want to highlight? Anything else you want to highlight?
No, not unless you have any questions. It's busy.
We do have on the agenda the discussion point you requested, so we can either hop to that later or do it now. Deb, you
So, one thing is I'm looking at all these buildings that have just been sold again.
I'm grabbing
Maybe
M&Ms.
could we be proactive and send them the letter that says you can't leave the building empty and just sit there? We're gonna fine you if you,
What, you mean, why don't we send them a copy of the vacant laws? Like you
Yeah.
send them the
Yeah.
vacant property law.
yeah, exactly. So if we could send those out, that would be good.
Why don't you start with thanking your local to our community?
Well, that's it.
Also,
Well, and that's it. But what happens unfortunately is people, especially the people from outside, who live in Las Vegas, and say, oh, look, a cheap building and buy it on auction and don't know.
So I do have a letter that goes out if it's a rental property. I congratulate them on the purchase of the rental property, and then I send them a copy of our local law, so they're familiar with our local law.
Oh, okay.
Because we have some that are, so that's part of the process that I have when I get a property transfer in.
Okay.
That's
So
fantastic.
you're already doing it then?
I'm doing it for, for multi-family property.
Rental properties.
Rental property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing would be just for ones that have been vacant for ages.
No,
You're gonna do
so
something
in
with it.
most cases, you have to assume if somebody just bought at an auction, and I know this hasn't always played out, but that they
That's my
are.
thing, we've just been screwed so many times.
So I do, typically when I get the property transfer, that's a process in itself, in the county. I don't, once I get that, I do send them a letter, and if there's violations against the property, I send them a copy of the violation.
And when somebody buys the building, they buy the violations as well? Is that how that all works?
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
So you don't have to start from scratch.
that's right.
no, as far as the other goes, so one of the things that did come up in my conversation with Andy is on this, on the vacant properties, if it's a foreclosure,
Mhm.
then our local law will not address a foreclosure. It's a bank foreclosure, they have to follow the New York State zombie law for foreclosures and register with the state. So, which is many, like, of these properties that have been sitting vacant, where the research will come in that needs to be done. So, a lot of times, the banks will start a foreclosure and then not finish the foreclosure. They go far enough to get the people out, like the First Street properties, I think is a pretty good example. We have two of them down there, and they won't finish, so those properties have been in the owner's names the whole time. They're actually zombie properties, but because they haven't finished the foreclosure process, they have not taken ownership.
They do that on purpose.
They do it on purpose.
I won't say that, I won't say
So,
that.
so,
It doesn't seem fair to them.
well, there has to be a way to work around it, but that's just, it's something that's just takes some time to get into. That's where this other person, I can, kind of put this other person on, maybe dogging some of this stuff out and finding the information out, because that is part of the process that's going to be involved in that.
So they're just
Mark, that was one of the questions I had for you, and you don't have to answer it now. You can shoot us an email. But in the fact that we're going to be looking to hire someone, we'd be very interested in what your early priorities are and early thoughts are for what they're going to do. And
It's funny, I had a conversation with Mark today.
there you go.
I was there today.
These are the things that, the laws that you guys have passed that I don't have, I've developed some processes. I've been doing this now for 10 years. And I stayed pretty busy just when I had before you passed the law. And when I originally started, a lot of this stuff was geared toward rental properties, but because I've been doing this for so long, yes, I have, on average, I don't know, I do probably 10 letters a month. So at the end of the month, I follow up on any open inspections, and then on the next day, hopefully, if all goes well, I send out the letters that say your biannual inspection is due. I have developed a system where on average, I have maybe 10 of those a month. 10 of those letters that go out a month. So, and they're scattered over the course of 2 years. COVID did kind of screw that up a little bit. For the most part, though, I think I have most of the properties in the system where every month there's some.
COVID created a backlog. Didn't COVID create a backlog for you? Like once the pandemic kind of moved out,
Well, what it did is that it created a situation where not all the properties were inspected every 2 years as required.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I have to do some shifting, and you know what? And one of the things I looked at were, the part of the complaint there is, so every month, with my list, before I send out letters, I go through that list to see when the last time the biannual inspection was done, just to make sure that I'm not missing something. So the fact that, what was stated tonight about me sending out a letter 3 months ahead of time, that would be highly unusual unless, because I do go in there. That's specifically one of the things I check before I send out letters, to make sure, maybe I miss it by a month or something, but for the most part, unless people think, I do it by the time I send out the letter, right? If you're due for an inspection in June, and you don't get that inspection done in November, I don't care, you're gonna be due in the next June, 2 years down the road. Because otherwise, my schedule, I would never be able to keep up and keep things straight. So I have to I've settled on that, keeping that process in place. And I put it on all the letters when I close out the case. And if I closed it out in November, we started it in June, your next inspection, it's June 2024, your next inspection is due June 2026.
Maybe that's why he was thinking it was 3 months early.
So I put that on all the letters that go out, so there's gonna be a question, from back. I have all the copies, everything's on the computer, so.
Huh.
I like to think that I'm doing a good job with the time that I have, and, and I do have to make decisions on what are priorities and what aren't priorities. And I do and I have a huge pile on my desk that, and I was just thinking about this yesterday, and I'm not sure what the best way to deal with it. Everything goes on top of the pile, which isn't fair to the things that are on bottom of the pile. But, I need to come up with a way of trying to rotate it so that, I know those people are gonna start getting mad at me because there's one guy in particular on High Street, he's not happy with his neighbor, but that's, I'll get there. Some things take more time, sometimes it's just easier to do a case quick and easy.
Well, there's other priorities, like you said, for example, like today, Mark, tell them what you had to do today about the pool.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I noticed a pool in a yard where, one of your neighbors, it's probably a pool that's 3 feet high. Well, anything over 24 inches, if it holds 24 inches of water, it has to have a fence around it.
Of course.
Unfortunately, when people buy these things, they don't tell them
Mm-hmm.
that you're gonna have to invest in a fence, 4-foot fence to put around.
It could end up costing as much as the pool.
Oh, it costs more. So when I got there today to serve her the violation, because that's a high priority. We can't have a kid drown.
No, absolutely.
And, she was just filling the pool. I had to ask her, I tried to be nice about it, I had to ask her, did you hand me a violation? I said, I'd like to ask you to stop filling the pool, because she was in the process of doing it. And, you're gonna have to either put a fence around it or take the fence. So, but these things pop up. People pop in the office looking for guidance, questions.
Yep.
God forbid if I have to do research by getting into the code books, one code book takes you to the next code book, to the next code book, and sometimes you get bogged down for hours research.
Why they have to be searchable online?
I remember chasing those down with the previous thing from a few years back. That was.
Yeah, so they're,
But you were in the middle of one thing and had to deal with it, and that's a high priority. You can't let somebody drown, Mark said they had steps leading up to the pool. Instead of a fence, they had steps so easy.
Yeah, I
access.
think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So what's the rule in that? 2 feet or higher?
if the pool can hold 2 feet of water, doesn't matter how much is in it.
Right.
It can hold 2 feet of water.
Oh.
Or more. It has to be a fence around.
That's a state rule, right? That's not a
That is
local.
That's a code.
Oh, it is a code rule.
Yeah, that's New York State code.
Yeah,
New York State code. Okay. All right.
Same for ponds too, right? You know ponds?
I don't know.
You have to drill out ponds?
There's no ponds in the village.
Well, there was one and he made it
There was
go
one.
down.
There was one and I treated
Unfortunately, he
that.
still has a bomb squad.
I treated that the same way.
No,
I
it's
said
like
you
the
have to
sun.
put- I
Yes,
said you have
thank
to
you.
put a fence.
Any other questions for Mark?
Thank you.
Looking for a motion to approve the code enforcement report? Motion. Deb, Bobby, second. Second. All right. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Do you guys want to talk about Mark's one request for item now or later? It's regarding a fencing, or not a fencing, a mowing question.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
There's nothing in the law?
So this is on the agenda on the bottom of page 2. An owner, it's at 152 Main Street, which is the mansion type building next to the American Legion, which was just rehabbed and looks beautiful. It sounds like they've approached and asked with a request to downsize the area that they mow. I don't think I put that. Oh no, yeah.
Hey, dude.
Area of lawn on the property that gets mowed.
So, interestingly enough, there was an article in the Times Union today, down in Catskill somewhere, where village has dealt with this. Code enforcement's involved, they took it to court, the lady won the case.
Ulster County.
Ulster, is it Ulster?
Yeah.
So she won the case. The judge sided with her because she had like some special flowers and different plants in there. But she did have to clean up the hydrants. So anything that wasn't part of that flower bed or whatever. So
Oh, I read about
our,
that. You should have laughed.
our law
I did
is
not.
that, and I follow a lot of the New York State code, but there is some property management stuff in our zoning too, as far as maintaining the yards. Sometimes where you get into a little discrepancy, I noticed that when I was at today, the hedgerow between the two properties. In the village, you know, everything's mowed, everything's cut, the hedgerow, there's a fence there, you know, technically by the rule of law, you know, maybe that's not supposed to be there. But it is, and, you know, so that's just something I noticed today. You know, we've been focusing on lawns and trying to keep the lawns mowed and stuff like that. This particular case, I think she spends a couple $100 a month maintaining her yard. That is a big lawn, front and back. You know, maybe my initial reaction was, you know, I don't know how you're gonna do that in the front. You know, maybe out in the back, you know, you can get away because there's kind of a wooded area out behind there a little bit, where maybe on that, there's a driveway that used to loop around, but I'm not sure if they still use it. But maybe out beyond that, where the wedding tree shop used to be, you know, maybe they could cut down part of what they mow, you know?
So we do have a law that says the whole lawn needs to be mowed?
Well, it doesn't specifically, it just said, the law is if it gets overgrown.
There's ambiguity on.
11 inches, I think the.
But then shouldn't this go to the zoning board, not the village board?
No, it's not a zoning.
Hmm?
It's not a zoning issue,
not,
it's a property maintenance
it's
issue,
kind
but,
of a request.
yeah, I mean,
So
I have
Let
to,
me get what goes in zoning.
Any change to what's existing on planning rules have to
Well, that
go.
building was empty for ages, and nobody mowed it, so there you go. I mean, it can't just be that.
Oh, that's not the case. That building has been empty for ages. Even the person who lived there a while ago, when he sold it, he still maintained it.
That one's always been.
It's always been maintained.
So it's always been mowed the way she doesn't wanna mow it anymore.
Right, she's trying to, I think they're having a cash crunch, you know, and they're trying to cut
Seriously?
back some of their, I'm
I
speculating.
just sort of know who they are.
Well, regardless of this, just
It's just a request that came to my attention.
in my area, there's about 5 or 6 properties that the back of their properties are some tree, like a tree area. They don't necessarily have to mow that. Some properties have actually cut down the trees and increased what they've mowed. Others have just kind of maintained it.
I understand why this.
What says that they have to? I guess that's your question, right?
Yeah, because, you know, there's a little bit of common sense. I'm not going like the hedgerow I used for an example today. The lawn's being mowed, everything else about the property is being taken care of. You know, why would I just go and say, you gotta cut down your hedgerow where your trees are growing between the property on the property lines or whatever, you know? I think there has to be a little bit of common sense maybe comes into play. You know, I don't think the front yard, I don't think she's gonna be able to avoid that. I mean, can anybody envision that all of a sudden we let the front yard of that property on Main Street just grow in?
No.
No, but maybe as part of our compromise out in the back that we could do.
How legally?
I can't give any legal advice on this
And
without
I'm
looking
not
at the code to
disagreeing,
see
I'm
what
just throwing
that
something out there.
All right, Elena
says.
has said she can't really give any legal advice without reviewing the code. Can the person who's making the request point out where the area is they're trying to, in a sense, no longer mow and let
I can't decide without seeing what they don't want.
But I guess from my standpoint is if the code says one thing, there's no mechanism
It doesn't matter where the house
to
is.
say otherwise unless you amend the code. And I'm not really clear on what the code says, so I have to look at the code as a first step, I think, to see, and it may be a non-issue.
But if it's in the code, then
No, because it's not zoning.
Here you
It's
go.
not a variance request.
There's no way.
Okay, this is the property in question, Main Street, corner of Richmond. This is the building. This is the front lawn. There's new parking here. There's a lot of wooded property here.
That's what I'm saying, in the back, beyond that drive, part of that's a driveway around the back.
Right, because the driveway that comes out right here, actually, it butts Babson's property right here. Because I cut a tree down there a couple weeks ago.
All
It
I
fell like-
see
my answer
headaches
is,
if
if you
we
can see it from the
super
street,
enforce it
no.
because other people.
My answer is, if they knew what they were getting into when they bought it,
Yeah, that's
I'm
kind of
sorry.
a-
I
Well,
leave it
this
as
the law,
is.
but-
Okay.
And you know what?
Just to be clear, this is purely a monetary issue, right? Like it's the cost of mowing it?
I believe so.
No, he's-
So
I-
Elena
You
will
open a big can
Elena
of
will
worms.
look at it. She can opine on this pretty
Okay.
easily over email. We'll go from there.
Okay,
Does that work?
yeah.
Bobby,
All right. All right.
Oh, my God.
All right. So that piece of new business is done. We're going back to reports. Which report are we on?
Treasurer's,
Rob,
right?
can I just ask one more question?
Sure.
Is it also possible, Mark, that the tenants start calling and complaining that the place has turned into a jungle back there?
Anything possible, sure.
Yeah. I'm just curious, I mean, to me, it just seems like.
I mean, the nice thing is they proactively reached out to ask. Most people don't.
Well, the guy who does the mowing is the one who reached out.
Okay.
Because she told him she didn't want to
Pay him as much. Okay, yeah, well, that's,
And he wanted to know if he could do that. I said, I don't know about that.
yeah.
All right.
Maybe she should just buy one more and do it herself.
All right. Treasurer's report. Let's get back to trying to zip through things. Anything anyone wants to notice or ask about?
Dinner.
Beside dinner.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Thank you, Doug, and we'll give it to Megan. Further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Clerk, Deputy Clerk, Olivia, what do you want to highlight or anything?
No, nothing to highlight.
Nothing to highlight from Olivia. Any questions for Olivia?
We never got a list of the FOIL requests. I don't believe.
I haven't had any recently. You want the
Oh, I
back?
see them on the list. So-
Well, you told me to put it there last meeting because I usually have FOIL requests. Because last meeting I didn't have them either and I didn't put it. And you
Okay, so
recommended
all
I put it.
FOIL requests
We had
are
one, did you get
Yeah,
deleted.
we have not. Well, I got you one, but you didn't want police ones, correct?
No, why not?
I thought.
Well, there's a difference
Yeah.
between like is it a FOIL request, John, or is it like a
Well, we have
request
to
for a report separate from a
We
FOIL?
have to do this a little different, because now people are asking for like every single police report, and then I'm having to figure out what needs to be redacted and all that.
When you say somebody's asking for every single police report, what does that mean?
So for example, 3rd Street, every time she calls in about anything, I have to sit there and redact every report, because she puts in a request for the report.
This
It
is
doesn't
for a
matter.
formal FOIL.
But so like if you're the
Right.
subject or a victim of a report, you can request the report without having to go through FOIL.
Yeah. We're really just talking about people who make.
That's why I was-
What she's asking, she's putting down,
So,
it's, yes, I think we just need to make it so that if she asks, it's FOIL, understood.
you
So I
can't
think-
do that though. If she's calling the police, she's entitled to the report without having
Well,
to go
she's
through FOIL.
asking for everything, because I think we have what is it? She's claiming she's a witness.
This is where I'm confused. What, she's asking for everything? Is that different than a report?
She's asking for, so when she calls in, it's, if you know 3rd Street and 45 River Street, so you got the ones around the back corner, they'll call, and then the one around the front says, oh, I'm a witness. So then they each ask for a copy of the report, so then I'm having to like do all this extra redaction because none of the neighbors can get along.
But that's not a formal FOIL request, so.
No,
No.
But they're not really a witness nor a suspect. Or
Right, but that's not really a
they're
FOIL
not a
request.
victim or a suspect, but they're a witness, so now they're asking for the report.
Well, that's different, but if it's a
But
victim
our
or a
form, that's
suspect,
gotta
then.
change, 'cause it says that on.
So,
What does the
if,
form say?
if
Let
they're
me
not
bring it up.
involved in it, would they have to do a formal FOIL request
If
then?
they're not involved, yes.
If they're not involved, then they should be FOILing that. They shouldn't just be like, oh, I was a witness because they're looking at the
So we
window.
gotta change our other form.
We're going back to the original, there's been no formal FOIL request.
It sounds like it was just,
Not
We
since,
do have-
no.
We do have one, but I have to work with Olivia and Elena because.
Is this the incident request form you're talking about? Oh, sorry.
Did they file the formal FOIL?
Yeah, but they didn't do it the correct way. They sent it to me, and then I had to send to her.
Well, I think all we agreed on is not the details of it, but that the request has been made by who, right? Is that what we discussed?
Right, that's all we wanna know is there's been a FOIL request
By who,
made
yeah.
and by
That's
whom.
all. Once there's a formal request, not.
But we haven't
Once-
we haven't
one
gotten
that
any
you
formal
have.
requests
Right.
One that you
recently,
have.
right?
No.
Okay.
If you don't have it, it's not a,
Yeah.
a formal request.
Is this the incident report you're talking about?
Yeah.
This one?
he's in it.
Okay.
So see where it says witness?
Oh, it does say witness.
If someone has a FOIL request and we're asking for the FOIL request, is it supposed to be public record of who has requested the FOIL? Like, can we have that? Like,
It's public
freedom of
record.
information.
I had people FOIL request a 6-month log of the FOIL request.
that's fine.
I've been meaning to do that, I just haven't
I
gotten
mean,
around to it.
right? Just the redundancy of it. Okay.
So it sounds like this is only applicable if you fall into one of those three
I
categories.
wish I had it was fine.
Should-
Witness
should-
is
that can
intended to
be
be like
recused.
somebody who gives a
So
statement.
that's not FOIL.
Like, that they can
It
get a
says-
copy of their own
You're
statement.
not, then you can FOIL.
They'll do that, just.
You're not involved. You,
They'll say, I see nothing, just.
Yeah, if you're not telling us that you.
So should witness be removed from this?
Yes.
We can
Okay.
remove it.
That's
Make it
that's
easier.
fine. That's fine.
A
Text me
definition
tomorrow.
of what witness is. Just get
So
rid of
Rob,
it.
we're just removing that statement about FOIL.
Yeah, we'll upload a new document. We'll get rid of that old one.
So I think
Um,
you have that, you have that.
all right. Good.
Just laughing, kissing nose.
Any other questions for Olivia?
no.
Hearing none, looking for a motion to approve the clerk deputy clerk report.
Motion.
Thank you. Thank you. Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
Thank
Carries.
you for the detailed minutes too. Very, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, clerk and deputy clerk. Highway department report. Kenny.
Sure. So, it's been super hot, my guys are just getting their butts kicked, but
Yes.
they're doing a good job. I think everything looks good. I confronted one person who had said our parks look terrible on Facebook, and I wasn't talking about your parks, I was talking about, it was your buddy.
Right.
I was talking about.
My buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, we're on the Clay Hill?
No, with, pizza shop.
Oh.
And I said, why do you say our parks look like, you know, he said, well, I wasn't talking about you, I was talking about the town parks, what about you guys? I said, okay, yeah, sure. So, I mean, they've been working hard, the guys have been working hard, it's just brutal outside.
You did a great comment about us the other day.
I'm sure
It was great.
I'm sure that.
Are they
And,
drinking plenty of water?
yeah. So, couple things, I know I have to I have to get another quote, but the one from Hoosick Sand and Gravel for the transfer station. I think we need to move on getting that done sooner rather than later. I mean, we've been, I think we should be proactive on getting, the larger pad, getting the walls repaired, so we can put all the dumpsters on concrete.
That quote is for.
What we talked about the day the three of us went up there.
That quote is for everything you want done up there. Providing we pay for the concrete, as long as we pay for the concrete, that's all the way. I can get another quote, I think I have to have another quote, or at least two.
So that would fix the existing wall.
Yep, it would
Yep.
make the pad bigger, fix the existing wall, the pad would come out, I think, another 36 feet. It would also be wider, so the big C&D dumpsters can be set on concrete instead of digging into the dirt and getting, half full of
Puddles,
water.
right, exactly.
And then that's also putting the pad up for the regular dumpster, or the trash dumpsters where we have the electric fence around now.
Because there's discussions among the board about if we're going to continue that or not,
Okay,
can you get a separate quote that does not include that?
does that include
Garbage? Putting a concrete setup there for the.
Definitely.
I think just based on the discussions I've been hearing and having, I don't know how that's going to play out.
Okay. And then I'll see if I can get another couple quotes from some other people too.
All right, thank you.
And then, paving. So every year, I get an allotment from the state, CHIPS, it's the CHIPS program, I think it's like the Community Highway Improvement Program. I reached out to them to see how much we could use towards equipment, such as a new dump truck. And they told me that I could use most of it. I have to do at least some paving. So, I mean, this year I got around $178,000, I think, for CHIPS. I picked 3 streets that I'd like to pave, not all of them this year. And so, you know, it leaves us around $120,000 to put towards a dump truck, I think. And then if we could do this every year, so it's not a guaranteed amount, the same amount every year. No.
Right.
But this year, you know, this year I think it would be.
Where are we on the excavator bid sale?
I've got to talk to Elena to get a hold of, so I can get a hold of the guy that you had talked about before. So I can,
Alright.
I've reached out to Capital Tractor and they said, oh yeah, we'd be happy to come down and give you this thing.
I
And
bet.
Of course, they're gonna lowball us because they'd like to buy it back because there's 0 hours on it hardly, you know, and it's, you know. So yeah, but they'd love to come down and tell me it's worth $50,000. You know?
Let's make that a priority. I think in between prioritizing for that, hopefully getting an answer on how much money we're expecting in terms of that settlement. It doesn't have to go specifically to water, but we've been talking about large infrastructure improvements. Obviously the water plant, but also we've been talking about the dump truck.
So my next question is, you know, where do you think, I mean, I know I'd like to do Mechanic Street. I mean, if, you know,
Yes.
generally I just go ahead and do the streets need to be done, but this is kind of a big street and, you know, there's some cantankerous people over there that are gonna, you know.
From where to where, Kenny?
From
Do you
basically
feel
from
peer
Polish
pressure?
Hall. No. From basically from the Polish Hall to Comic Street. Where
Can we do it like just after the Polish Hall?
Stop it.
I know exactly.
Stop it. That is not how village business works. Stop it.
It's still
Good
fatal against the
Lord.
world, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, joke about that.
John's house?
Yeah.
In reality, Kenny, that area has needed it for a while, and we have been postponing it. We've been postponing it intentionally because we have been going for that larger grant through Delaware, which would include redoing this, and that would include paving. It would also include Scott Street, and would also include the Rogers.
So it's
That's
for
all
water
part of
and
that.
sewer and infrastructure in the street. So.
But I think we've put it. I think we. I don't think we should wait for that.
In speaking with Denise, she said that all we have to do when we get approved for this project, just to put in the project that the street has to be repaired the way it was. So we would just, because once I pave a street through CHIPS, I can't touch it again for 10 years.
10 years, right.
So.
Yeah. Which portion of First Street is in discussion here?
All of it, from Church Street down to basically the Trustees, or River. So, or River Street. I'm sorry. Yeah. So that would be, you know, that's $72,000, and that street they know is going to be difficult because that street there's about 2 inches of blacktop and it's concrete under that.
Glorious.
Yeah.
Which half of First Street is worse? This half here or
The
this
upper
half
half,
down
yeah.
there?
I mean, it's not terrible, but you know, I tried to pick a street in each ward that needed, you know. I mean, I would rather do Mechanic Street by far, and then possibly after Mechanic Street, Lower Wild.
And the thing about Mechanic Street too, it gets a ton of traffic because of St. Cobain.
Absolutely.
So I mean,
and not only that, I mean, it's an entry point into the village, so it's just
most logical.
You know,
Which part of Wilder?
Lower Wilder from Abbott to Maine.
Hey, last year, if I'm reading the budget right, we got $221,000 plus in CHIPS money.
Yes, but that's total. So there's different parts of the chips. So the chips that you can use for our stuff is one thing, and then you have POP, I think it's called, pay-bar potholes, and then there's 3 different sections, and that's all total as one. I haven't.
Are we getting about the same amount of money as we got last year?
Yes, but well, no, because so they rolled over what we had left over last year into this year's too.
Okay, so is there anything, when we did our budget, is there anything you're not going to do that you were planning on doing because we'd be buying the truck?
No,
Okay.
no.
Kenny, I feel like there's a way to make these numbers work where if we do Mechanic Street and maybe half of First Street, that will get you like $70,000 or $80,000 immediately.
Sure.
And if you do the same thing next year,
Right, but again, it's not guaranteed we're gonna get that, the same amount next year.
right, but if we go into a short-term debt and we have already decided that that's going to be paid off by X amount of money at minimum per year, I think there's an avenue to get the dump truck.
Okay. Yeah, whatever
Well,
works.
that's the thing, we need to make sure there's an avenue for
I
the
was
dump
like,
truck.
is there a
That's a
safe-
priority as far as I'm concerned, rather
Because the
than paying.
longer we wait, the longer, it's already 18 months out for a new truck.
Is
So
there a
the longer we
safe
wait-
estimated amount that we could expect?
I think last year was like, I wanna say last year was like 138,000.
In terms of cost
For chips, no, what we got for chips
In
last
terms
year.
of what we get from chips, so that we could project possibility
It's-
of, you know,
Yeah.
yes, we're not guaranteed this much, but we have a safe estimate of this much that we will
Yes.
definitely get,
Yeah,
so that we
I
can.
didn't really plan on doing that.
Kenny, Brett's question is like, what is our general safe approach for chips on a given year? I don't recall it dipping below 100,000.
No.
In my
I
7
don't think
years.
it has. I mean, again, this is only the second year I've dealt with it, but I know in the past that Neil has, had to juggle
Yeah.
because, he's playing some streets. That's why I kind of didn't put anything set in stone this year until I found out. And of course, everything was late this year. The county was late getting everything out. So,
Kenny, if you could work with Denise, work with Bobby, any other trustee who wants to be involved on trying to work out a plan to purchase a truck, knowing that over a couple years we'll be pulling from chips this year and next year and so on and so forth.
right. And,
I think that's a responsible way to go
I
with
would prefer not going into debt
this. Okay?
right.
and
I'll
pushing
second that.
anything into next year or the following year. You know, we gotta start eliminating debt.
It's also possible with the excavator sale
Right.
and the chips money, that may be
So
enough.
That's what I was hoping, was that, within
Okay.
the next couple of years, we could have, with the county or the state money, we could have it paid off.
And we don't, when we order a truck, we don't pay for it till we receive it, correct?
I think you have to give
Pay part of-
some
a part, a
for
down
them to
payment, yeah.
start building the truck, because every truck is different,
Sure.
we spec it out, we order what we want. So,
Okay.
yeah, you have to give them a little something to get them started.
Sure.
Because if they started building the truck and then 6 months later we backed out, and they've got a truck that they were building specific to our needs.
Right,
you know,
our
it's
specs,
hoping
right.
that somebody else will sell it. So,
Piggybacking off of something to the truck, because that's gonna require something more than quotes.
Say that again?
But whatever the cost of a dump truck is gonna be more than quotes, so we need to do some type of competitive. You don't necessarily have to go out to bid, there's mini bid process, there's, Sourcewell, there's piggybacking off of other counties. I can work with Kenny on it, but I just wanna bring it up.
Yes. You
Like, it's
can,
not just me. So we're just talking, Kenny, I don't know what you've done as far as like getting quotes or finding out what the costs are, but give it, like, I just know approximately what a dump truck costs.
Yeah, I got
It's
it
gonna-
for about 200,000.
Right, so it's gonna, like, we don't necessarily have to go out to a formal bid, there's a lot, I know what, Ray, the guy that I was gonna get you the information on, he uses like Sourcewell, we piggyback off of like Onondaga County and other counties' contracts and stuff like that, so you can, I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
could
just-
go
I
out
went-
to, you could go out to bid, but we do like mini bid processes and some of these other things to get, what you need, so I can work with you on
the
that.
county does have a shared services agreement
Yeah, I went
for
to
bidding
Murray's,
purposes.
or Allegiance now, they sell the dump trucks right up here in North Hoosick, and I had the salesman just, I spec'd out what I was looking for, what we wanted, what we needed in the truck, and he wrote up a quote, and it was, I think it was like $204,000 or something like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm open to anything, it doesn't have to be an international truck, it just needs to be something soon.
So yeah,
Rusty?
remove what I said. We're gonna go with Doug's idea to not go into debt. Use the
Yeah.
excavator, set up chips, go for it. And I would love to be able to have a decision on that in August.
Okay.
Is that where you guys are feeling as well?
Kenny, when do we normally pave?
He's been calling me and asking me, because he wants to get on the schedule, because they like to do in the village before school starts, so we don't do,
Tie-up
before
buses and
before
everything, yeah.
September, yeah. So-
I personally would like to see the Mechanic Street and at least half of First Street.
Okay.
Personally,
You know it's not gonna be good enough.
Say half.
that's not why we're doing it, but
Yeah. No, it's.
I'm well aware. That's all right. That's all right.
So go ahead and,
Right.
I can go ahead and schedule, go after paving.
I think so. If you want to wait and get more of an idea on what the excavator sale could be and the cost and the quotes, that's fine.
Okay.
So putting on my old hat,
That's his motorcycle.
I was going to ask you to take off your sergeant hat and put on the rescue squad hat. I'd love to hear from the rescue squad on
I
that.
wanna steer away from First Street for paving, because we're putting in,
Well, I could always do the lower half.
the problem we have is our front apron. When they repaved it, they paved over old pavement, and so when it rains, as Brett knows, when it rains, it comes into the building, not away from the building.
Okay.
So we may have to like
Dig it up.
grind down
Grind it.
both layers, rather than,
So what we also could do, if we did decide to do your apron, we could grind you in an apron, or we could pour you in an apron right there with the blacktop. They've done that before too.
because right now it's,
Because they're gonna grind the
the
street.
grade difference is so substantial when you go out with an ambulance, it rocks. But we're also, every time you guys plow,
Yeah.
it's ripping up the front apron.
I see.
Okay. Bobby, Kenny, you guys can feel free to make decisions on that.
Alright, yeah.
All right. Great. We did not approve the highway report yet, correct? All right. Looking for a motion to approve the highway department report. Deb, thank you. Second, Brett, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Thank you. Sewer report.
Oh, me then.
Kenny, great first month.
Yeah. That's what I thought, right?
Keep it coming.
Sure. Well, unfortunately, we just had a $16,000 repair at the Lyman Street pump station, so we just covered that this month.
What was that one for? Was that the?
It was the final billing for all of the work we had to do for the flooding and stuff. They just
Yep.
finally got the parts in like a couple weeks ago. They came down and finally finished rebuilding the other pump.
Okay.
So hopefully, knock on wood, we're good. I'm also doing, working on our yearly maintenance agreement, that which we do, which I do every year, maintain everything.
Good.
We had a power surge at the sewer plant.
Yeah, that was a surprise to see.
Keith came in the other morning and he's like, all the screens are pink. There's nothing working. And I said, okay. So we called Jamie from Bradley's and he came down and he's like, blew a bunch of big fuses. You must have had a power surge. So it wasn't an expensive fix. We just replaced a bunch of fuses. But that's pretty much it.
Update on test certification stuff.
As far as I know, Keith is ready to go. I just gotta give him some free time to schedule it. I mean, now that he's, I've been super busy. I haven't had time to schedule anything for myself. But
If you could prioritize having some time with Robert to prepare for that, that'd be great.
Yep.
It's awesome. And we'll try to make sure he doesn't have to have sleepovers at the pump stations in the future.
Yes.
Oh, Keith.
Yeah. Any other questions? Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Oh, Bobby got it this time. Deb gets a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. Water department report. Megan. Oh, and the draft reports did not have the water sold, but I did get the numbers from Denise, so thank you, Denise, on the additional water sold.
I don't really have anything to add to the report. I know there's going to be, if it's tied in, they're flushing hydrants Monday, Wards 2
Yep.
and 3, Tuesday, Wards 1 and 4.
I got some stuff to add.
Yeah.
For
Well, I
water?
have later in my trustee report,
Okay,
I've got some
alright,
things
okay.
to go over.
Okay.
But as far as the water department report, I don't like have anything
All right.
to add to it. But I will be discussing some things later on.
Yep, we have that on the agenda, and of course your report. It's fine as well. We can bounce around, whatever works.
Okay.
Looking for a motion to approve the water report? Deb? Or Doug, sorry, because he's louder than Deb this time. Deb gets a second. I'll let Olivia choose. All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. All right, thank you. We are done with reports. Let me get back to... Nope, not that. Minutes. The June 12th regular meeting minutes. Did people get a chance to look it over? Are there any corrections that need to be made?
I make a motion, we accept it as presented
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Deb.
for both the 12th and the 26th.
Well, we gotta do them one at a time.
Okay.
Any discussion on that? All in favor of the June 12th?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? I'm going to abstain on that one because I was not at the June 12th regular meeting to report on the minutes. But everyone else voted aye for it. And the June 26th special meeting minutes. Hearing none, looking for motion to approve it. Deb, thank you. Need a second? Brett, thank you. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed or abstentions?
It should be.
Carries. Trustee committee reports. Trustee Alter, would you like to start?
Yeah, okay, so I've located some stuff, gathering like, like information that we need in order to build a comprehensive plan, so I'm starting to gather all that information, which will be hugely helpful with a lot of things. But we don't have to start from scratch with that, so that's a good thing. What else? We've got the parking study is, do we have a hard copy of that? I can, do we have it in my?
I have
They
a
emailed it.
digital copy.
Yeah, so I can just print it out, okay. Cause I need to work with that, and I wanna probably use their maps. I wanna try and figure out where parking signs should go. So,
I think and we talk to Kevin about whether.
Yeah, and he said he would be good for
Conversations
it.
are going
Yes. Yep,
So, that's true. That's true. I'm sorry, Deb. Did you want to see the parking report?
not right this second, I just wanna have a hard copy.
Okay.
Um,
Olivia, do you have the parking report? Let me find it. I'll email it to her. Maybe she can print out a hard copy for you.
okay, that'd be great.
I'll do that right now.
I'm a little, August 7th is soon, so I wanna make sure that we take care of getting a grant writer and are on top of things, including what's happening with the Mitsui property, which we have to call something else now, right?
Not yet, but soon.
We're gonna be ready for,
The new park.
we'll call it the new park for now, I think we already agreed on that. Anyway,
First Street Park.
anyway,
Street parking.
Actually, it's gonna be Marcus.
and what else I needed? Oh, so that was my concern, and then my other concern is it's been so hot, is there any place, is there a place, I know we had somebody, I was at book club last night, and book clubs, libraries usually closed, but there were a couple people in there because they had no place else to go to cool off. But then when we left, they had to leave, and I just worry about people who don't have a cool place to
Do
go.
we have a cooling station?
Yeah, or something, is there are places that we can,
Splash pad.
I don't know, I'm just concerned, that's all.
Town pool's open.
No, no.
Oh, and I have a couple of things. Kevin, the concert season is underway, the community band and the rock concerts, they've been up on the beach. Tonight was, canceled because of the rain. And then Hoosick Blooms is this coming weekend. It's the big fundraiser for Civicure.
I'm sorry I didn't have that on the agenda announcements. I'm sorry about that because I didn't
Okay,
see that. I missed it.
Anyway, so it's a fundraiser for Civicure. They are so close to being done. I mean, they're gonna put in for New York Forward money. But Brian Russo has single-handedly turned that building around. Inside, unbelievable. I mean, the walls are flat and smooth and painted, doors open and close, and restored windows, and there's not things falling from the ceiling. I mean, it's amazing. So, you should stop by, ask Barbara if you could see it sometime if you see it. It's really amazing. But here's the brochure for Hoosick Blooms. This is the one, I brought the one that was printed wrong, so, but it's kind of upset. But you get the idea. And also, they're having their first art show in their gallery. And that was the same thing, same time, that opening weekend is the same as the art show. So, there's that.
Nice.
I know, that's why I had to have them.
Thank you, Deb. Anything else?
Probably, but I can't think of them right now.
Well, I know we have. I think I meant to put transfer station on the agenda, so I'm wondering if I missed it. No, I did. No, I didn't. I missed the transfer station discussion, so we'll add that to the agenda under new business. All right, thank you, Trustee Hanselman.
Deb did all the talking.
Great job, Deb. Great job. I expect 4 more answers like that. Just kidding. Trustee Sauer.
Just that the New York Forward had a public session, there was more people than they expected, about 30 people showed up,
Yeah, on July 2nd of all dates.
and and it worked out really
Yep.
well, I think.
A lot of good brainstorming, lots
But
of good
I wanna
ideas.
follow up, that we just don't drop the ball on what we're gonna do about the village applications, and if we need a grant writer, because otherwise it will end up not happening and we'll be screwed.
I had hoped to schedule the meeting with the 3 of us to sit down early this week, and everything blew up when.
Yeah, but we need to do.
I'd like to
I mean,
try,
are
see if
gonna
we have
allocate
time
money
tomorrow,
for a grant
Friday.
writer? Let's make those decisions, because otherwise we'll end up not doing anything.
Like I said, August 6th, August 7th is like
I'm-
3 weeks away.
I have my weekly meeting tomorrow with them. I don't know if necessarily we'll need a grant writer for that, because I feel like they've set it up so that the application is in by August 7th, and they will help with that. And then the additional step that has to happen over the next couple months,
So
they
then
also
you're gonna do the
support.
writing
What's
of the
that?
applications then, right?
What's that?
You're gonna do the writing of the applications. I mean, let's make decisions, who's gonna be responsible for ensuring that they get in, that's,
We don't have a grant writer, right?
I know.
We do
one
not
of
have a
us,
grant
so it's
writer.
one of us, you know.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? So
Um,
Bob, you're gonna meet with them, and
And I want to set a meeting with the 3 of us to talk through all the things that we want to
I'm
have
gonna be away for
aligned.
the next week and a half, probably no coverage, so.
Okay. I just did that. I highly recommend it.
Well, I have to.
Yeah, it's same boat.
No water, no food, no electricity. so-
All right. I don't recommend the no water part, but yeah.
But just so, I don't know, if you decide that we do need to retain somebody, do we need to make a decision to allocate it here possibly, or give you this right?
I think we could decide that over email and retroactively approve it for open meetings purposes. Would you be alright with that? If we ended up bringing on someone for grant writing?
You don't know how much it's gonna cost.
I do not know how much it's going to cost because I don't know what the scope
I mean,
of the
it's
work is.
it's
And our
professional
next-
services, I guess it just depends on the amount, it's not
And our
budgeted
next
for.
board meeting can be after the due date.
Yes, that's
Yeah, we
right.
can do, I mean, I'm okay with it, doing it retro, as long as that's not gonna affect anything. I doubt it will, I think they just care about their deadline, they don't care about our deadline,
We're
our
talking
personal
about-
deadlines.
And I think we put
Literally,
money in the budget too, I think. Yeah.
Just in case anyone is curious, if you go to the New York Forward website for Hoosick Falls, click on open projects. The open call application is right here. There's some documentation on how you submit it and what you have to
Page
do.
7, I think, is that.
And eventually, this is the information that will need to get filled in.
Can we just do a thing where, can we say, we just approve a grant writer now, and then if we don't use them, we don't use them?
Or
I mean,
give
we-
Rob the discretion, depending on, I don't know, we gotta do a lot of work on the projects.
I mean, it's literally 4 weeks away.
I mean, you could do a
And I don't know
motion
what we're
to
doing in
approve
Murphy
up to a
Building,
certain
so
amount,
there's-
and then
Right, not
if
to
that needs
exceed.
to be changed, we can
Everything
change
else,
it.
everything else was contemplated in the proposal, so we know what the template. I don't know about the Murphy Building, if that throws a wrench
We,
in it.
well, we
but
never
go
wrote
in there
anything
and
for the
make that.
Murphy building, and we never wrote anything for Open Suey, so,
But we can always still.
Open Suey's in the proposal,
oh, it is?
yeah.
With D?
But
okay.
regardless of if it's in the proposal, we still have to go through this
Yeah.
form for
Yes,
every
I know
single
that,
thing,
but
right?
it's a lot we have to
Yes.
redo, and,
You said if we could put a motion authorizing the mayor to spend up to X amount of money
For grant writing purposes.
for grant writing purposes. Do you want to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
How much do you want to set?
2,500.
2,500? Do we have a second? Okay, second by Megan. So it's a motion to authorize the mayor to spend
That's definitely enough.
I don't know.
So
up to 2,500
when I looked at it
for purposes of grant writing.
police grant, it was like
make it 3,000.
Yeah, why
We
don't we
don't
up
use
it
it.
to, let's
Go
do
just a
3,
little higher
just in
than
case.
It's a not to
But that was
exceed, so
just
as
for
long
one.
as you have
Yeah.
money in the budget, then.
I would say not exceed 5,000.
I agree with Bobby. I think we should do not to
Okay,
exceed
let's go ahead.
5,000.
I don't think it'll be that.
Yes.
much.
I don't want to be
Totally different
scrambling,
subject.
we're
You
trying to
just
get
put it
approval
over
through
to-
an email if we
Yeah.
have to.
Let's go
Not
to
knowing that
5,000.
now?
No, because
He's done.
Don't touch it.
Jerry is not done yet because we don't own it yet because we haven't signed the contract and we haven't had the closing. But it's all coming.
Alright, so I'll tell him to, cause he's like, I'll just take it right off.
The mayor
I'll
to
tell him
hire
to
a
Not yet.
continue.
writer
Up to
at
5,000.
a cost not to exceed.
Very soon.
That.
I gotta go too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Is there a second?
Yeah, the second was, I think, Megan.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
No.
All right. Enjoy vacation. Is it vacation?
Get a hand.
Huh?
Is it vacation?
No. House in Jamaica, community got demolished, so our house is okay, but everybody else isn't.
God bless you and good luck.
No electricity, no water, no.
Yes.
Just call me if you
Thank you. We
need
will
me.
call you if we need you. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Whoop. Wrong way.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Trustee Shutting.
Actually, wait, before,
Okay, before I go.
I got a couple things before I go.
sorry, just one thing.
It's not like
The
down.
paid family leave, because we do have an employee who's gonna be a re-inspecting mom. We passed a resolution, before my time on the board, when New York State paid family leave came about, on or about 2018, to opt out.
Okay.
As a public sector employer, we had the option. We need to redo that to opt in, so I think all we need to do on that is just basically
Are we
alter.
covering the cost of it?
Well, that's what I wanna ask him, but that can be.
Because if we're not gonna cover the cost of it, then you need to negotiate it with the unions.
I've already talked to Alex from CSEA for the highway, and I talked to both Andy and Paul Alexonis from the police, and they both are fine getting into a one way.
We would just need to, well, I'm just saying,
We should
I mean,
get a
we
letter
probably
from-
have to, we would have to do an MOA,
Right,
getting them all on, to sign on
but I
that,
think the
but-
first thing we need to do is probably give ourselves the option of opting in, right, through a resolution.
Right.
Subject to approval of the appropriate bargaining units.
Yeah,
Okay, and if they wanna opt out, then they opt out.
can you send me an email and remind me so I can do a resolution for the next meeting?
I can send you also.
And if you have the
original
2018,
resolution
yeah, that would be helpful.
that opting us out.
Yes.
Okay.
If you can send me those things.
And then we'll put on the agenda for August.
Yeah.
Yes, we need to
I
have
mean,
that.
in the interim, we might be able to get the MOAs done too and just do it all as one thing.
What's kind of our timeline to get this done, clerk?
When you're done, Olivia, when you do.
I wasn't putting it that way, but I was wondering if there was any timeline.
I said when you're done.
December 2nd.
Okay, so we got time, it's just, it's not a whole, it's just a resolution, so we can do it in one meeting.
But we should do it sooner than later, right?
Yeah, no, I wanna get it done. I've already spoken to the two bargaining units and they're fine with it, so it's just a matter now of just the formalities.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Anything else on your report?
No, that's all I have.
All right.
I do have some stuff on water, but I'll let Nate.
On water? You'll wait for
Do you want me to do, okay, so,
Trustee Walry. You're up.
we got a chunk between water and, do you want me to do the website stuff now, or do you want, are we waiting for that, or?
I meant to have that on the agenda too. I'm a hot mess. Hot mess.
Just tell me what you want me to do.
Let's do it, get work done.
Yeah.
We'll go to the website stuff. If you want to do website stuff, we'll do it right now.
Because Dan can help with the water stuff, because there's a lot.
Not the website.
Not the website. The water stuff is just, yeah, it's just kind of old news, but newer stuff going on. I know we touched on some of the water issues last meeting, and I figured out what it was, so we can talk about that after.
Okay.
Can you pull up the 3 quotes?
I am on it right now.
Thank you for printing this for me. Everyone should have
We
the
all got them.
3 copies, yeah.
Okay, so this is the
Oh, so
divide by 9 quote.
thanks to
We
Dan.
have fly knot.
Yeah, so thanks to Dan who got the ball rolling, and I know we're talking about developing a fresher look, especially with the brands and New York State forward, all that good stuff. We wanna make our website more accessible to our residents, we wanna make it user-friendly, as far as putting on announcements.
And Meg wants to be able to call everybody all at once.
And the cool thing is, if we have like an emergency or something, we can literally have, the residents of the village sign up and they get like an automatic, you can sign up to get email or a text message, so if something's going on in the village, you guys get it instantaneously, which I think
So
is
this is the one you recommend?
awesome. Yeah, I mean,
Who's that?
well, that was the perk with the website
Nine.
with, Daily. That was, remember, I forget what company it was, but I was all about like, that's so cool, because we can communicate effectively. So there were some things that we had discussed. I decided to go and get some quotes. I had no idea how much any of this was gonna cost, as far as website development is concerned. So I reached out to, I think the first one, is this Flyknot?
No, I can bring
Divide
up
by
Flyknot.
9. Okay, so divide by, well, let's start with Flyknot. I think that was the first one.
Look, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, go ahead.
Why don't you go with the one that we think you like the best?
So,
You like the best.
with our procurement policy, we have to have 3 quotes.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just saying, which
Well,
one
let
do
me see
you,
them.
you know, because me listening to this is a waste of time for
Okay.
me because, and probably Dan too.
So
I'm not-
let me just
what-
highlight a couple points because
Yeah.
I don't want it to
Please
look
do.
like, oh, look, we like this
You
one,
know,
and that's
I
what we're
understand.
going with.
I'm not saying, don't take me wrong, Meg.
Yeah,
I'm just
no.
saying, you know, you did all the
I'll
groundwork.
try to
You know
make
what
it
you-
short and sweet, I promise.
I may have some questions, but I'm eager to hear what your
Absolutely. I
summaries
know
are.
one of the things that we really liked was the idea of using WordPress. It was user friendly. We could have people in the office use it. I do know that all 3 of these use WordPress, so that was
Okay.
something that I found like a commonality that I liked. Hey,
That's good.
these are the quotes that we're gonna get. So I contacted Flyknot. Her name, the point of contact was Valentina Fajardo, and then I realized that while I was talking to them, these are all salespeople to these big website development companies. So I'm not even talking to the person who's going to be making the website. They were great, well-spoken, very friendly people. So the quote or estimate that she gave us, proposal, it looks like it was $14,025 for the website development. The maintenance was $3,850 a year, and to host it was like $450 a year or something like that.
So roughly $4,000 a year afterwards,
Yeah.
right? That's what I thought, yeah,
What
that's what I
did we
thought.
budget? Can you recall what we budgeted?
What did we?
I think I want to say 16, 17,000 or something.
I think we budgeted enough to go with that.
I think it was
Yeah.
20.
Yes.
We,
Was it
right,
20?
I think it-
20,000.
it was
Yeah,
a,
20,000.
Did we bring the minutes? We can look.
What's in
I'll look it up.
Who brings the minutes?
Somebody said we should bring the minutes, we should have the minutes here, right?
I'll look it up.
I'm pretty sure it's 20,000.
Well, I have all the other ones, just
he had
not the
requested
ones we approved
us
yet.
considered.
That's all right. Oh, it'll be in there if it's
Yeah, I
the April
brought the
meeting.
binder with the new ones that, I
Yeah,
didn't
oh.
approve them yet, so I didn't put them in there yet. But there's a binder that I
So
started.
I don't remember when we talked about it, I just know.
It was last
Yes,
meeting,
that was
Oh, so,
yeah, so
oh, okay, so I can.
June 26th meeting, yeah. I sent it today.
so this is all, this is like a screenshot of the website.
I like, okay.
So anyway, so for Flyknot, we'll just try to get right down to the bones of it. The estimated proposal would be $14,025, and that's the development, planning, all of that for the development of the website. So that's, you guys can look it over.
And what was the annual fee after that, Meg?
The annual fee for
Oh.
host, so the maintenance and hosting was around $4,000 a year.
It's a little over, like 4,300 it comes out.
Are you like added together? It was $3,850.
Yeah, and then plus the
And the shared
450.
service, shared service hosting was $450 a year.
What page is that on up here?
The second to last,
Thank
well, actually,
Thanks, Brett.
I guess in yours it would be the third to last page?
Oh, with the really small font.
Yes.
Yeah.
Supremely helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
oh, Jesus.
Well, yeah.
And then, like,
And then there's
at the
Doesn't tell you much, doesn't give you a good idea about what they're gonna design.
no, it's
Sorry.
it's pretty vague. And the last page was weird. There was like marketing services that was
$12,500 a year.
$12,500. No, a month.
Um,
That's what she told me. I'm like, what?
yeah.
So
This is wacky.
it's weird, right?
UX UI design with holistic prototype, 70 hours.
And I don't know what that is.
I think people are just doing templates and they're not.
Yeah. Okay.
So then we go to Delta.
I'm ready to move on to the
Yeah.
next
Yes,
one.
yeah.
Thank you. All right, Delta.
So Delta, I spoke with Alex Murphy again. He was like a sales rep. It wasn't the person that would be developing the website. And if you look at his proposal, it literally looks like maybe AI made it or he copied and pasted it. Now, let everyone know, I spoke with
They
these
spelled your
people
name wrong.
for well over an hour. I told them everything we were looking for, every single website development, including Delta, and this is what they gave me.
So it's low margin business, they're just looking for numbers.
It's ridiculous.
What did they say maintenance was doing? What did they say they were doing for that?
For maintenance, including,
Yeah, what services do they provide under quote maintenance?
what's the question?
It is specified.
No, I mean, there's like, we talk about like security components, like upgrades to the system that need to be put in there, like there's.
Megan, you explain it all to us, and then we'll
Okay.
we'll circle back at the end.
Okay. So this is, sorry. So the website development component of this was gonna be $4,500. The initial investment they quoted me was $8,000 for, Delta Animations. The
This is so weird.
I know. So I think this was AI generated, and if you go up to, there's no page numbers. I believe it's the second page.
The second page of this one.
Yeah, it says introduction, dear Megan. It says, we are excited to present the service proposal to the marketing of your construction business. And I was super irritated.
That's,
Go down.
covering out the window.
But if you go on like Bark or any place looking for like.
Construction business.
Yeah.
We're constructing a community.
Crying out loud. Is it?
That's a very good point.
So this is, like I said, the website application development was $4,500 with a marketing component of $3,500. The website maintenance, hosting, and security would be $1,000 a year after the completion of everything.
So you're talking $4,500 for the upkeep and the 35 and then 1,000, right?
So the 45 would be for the development of the website.
Yep, the one at the bottom
Yep,
is
when-
40.
Yep, when we're done with that, the marketing component, which would be like, I don't know how you're gonna market the village, would be $3,500, and then for hosting, maintenance, security, $1,000 a year.
All right, let's
And
go
it's
to
not
the,
even
Yeah, the marketing is all about commercial.
Right.
Oh,
That's-
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Let's go to the other
Commercial.
one.
They even have plagiarism, they're into
So-
plagiarism.
I love the plagiarism
And then I
one.
had to go back and forth with him too, like, can you specify what the $1,000 for the website maintenance is? Like, what's the timeline? Is that monthly, is that yearly? So I do have another email where he says that's, yearly, but it's not in the proposal. And then, divide by 9, we did a meeting with Deb and Brett, and we discussed the same things like I did over the phone with these other two. And he was able to give us a really nice proposal
It's
that
tailored.
is tailored to us. Like, he took the time to write this for us.
Not only that, but his actual, this hard copy that we're looking at is a website that
Yes, I love that. And then
he
it's,
programmed
Yep.
to show us how.
For this, for our
For the,
quote,
yes,
exactly.
for our quote.
when we signed on, we had like a special password, so it was encrypted and saved. So we get on and we're
Just
like, okay, cool.
talking to him, I mean, I didn't talk to anybody from the other places, but I really got a sense that he wanted to listen and he wanted to make what we want, not what he thinks we should want,
For
right?
half
And
the
he
cost of-
understands, because he's done them, he understands doing village websites and city websites, not just commercial websites. And I think that's really important. He really seemed to understand
Well, like
what we
you,
needed.
like Doug just said, it's credible. Like, I worry about going and just getting these website
Yeah,
development
gotta be
companies. I don't know if they're a scam or if they're gonna take us.
I think he lives there too,
You know?
but yeah.
And actually,
But you don't.
speaking to Jeremy, he even said that he had someone come to him to get another proposal, and she went with another website development company, and they took her for $14,000, and she didn't get a product. And I'm like, oh, I'd rather work with people, or at least the person that we know that's developing the website, and not a representative that's going to be passing on the work to someone else who has 1,000 employees. That's my take on it.
So the base cost of this one was $7,000.
So, yeah, divide by 9, the website development cost was gonna be $5,200. He broke it down for us on page 6. And then marketing was gonna be $59 a month, that came to $708 a year. The hosting was $29 a month, $348 a year, and the site care, I think that's in there, yeah, is $100 a month.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and he breaks down exactly what all of those things are.
There's no hidden.
It's not, we don't have to guess.
And there's some options that we don't need to decide to add on.
Yeah.
To the base.
Yeah.
That's what I would suggest.
Like Doug said, there's some add-ons as well that we can talk about later. Like I'm really excited about like doing like videography, like we talk about like our mission statement, like having a video that really does market us, so we can put that on the website. If someone's visiting it, they can see us, who we are. We're flying over local businesses and.
One of the things you put together, Rob, for New York Forward, that final thing you sent out, that was fabulous.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually New York Ford, I think we asked for, you could go up to $200,000 for a marketing campaign, development campaign. That would be perfect to invest if we have the platform.
Yep.
Right, so we're going off on a tangent with that, but those are all the really great things that I think he can offer, and like I said, we can talk to him, and he's excited to be a part of it, and I think it's a good idea.
And we're saving money.
And we're saving money doing so.
As the web guy, I was looking through all of them for the things they said. The other two are like canned generic things that are part of WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
This one was very specifically catering to things that you had requested.
Yes.
And I saw like 24 things of like, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want.
Listen to everything.
No question, this is where I'm the most comfortable. I don't know about marketing right off the bat.
Sure.
I kind of want to pause on the marketing. And I think that we may need more money in web development depending on how hard it is for him to basically take on all of the documents that are in the water page.
He's looked at
Because
us.
that's so much stuff.
So
He's gone through.
Yeah, so he was saying, based on what we have less than what Gloversville does, or did. So
As far as
Okay.
that's all included in that.
He thinks that's hot. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
And I'd also like to state too, he gave us like $100 an hour, like that's what he goes by. So when he does like web development, it's gonna take 52 hours to do that. So that's how he breaks it down to keep it.
Okay.
I like that because it keeps it pretty standard for us. Like, hey, Jeremy, how much will this cost, or how many hours will this take? And then we can, even going forward, like that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, and he said we
And
can
then-
add and subtract
and then-
any of the extras at any time.
And that's where the difference lies too, is like we budgeted for 17,000 per year, whereas this is
Much
just year one is gonna be 7,000.
Yep.
And then year two drops down to 1,500 or
Right,
2,000 if we add in the marketing and the.
right.
Just gets my vote.
Right.
No question. I'm ecstatic to
So-
start working with
Yeah,
it.
me too.
Do we need to make a motion?
Yes, we do.
Accept this.
We're excited.
Bobby, do you?
All right. So the motion from Doug is that we accept the proposal from.
Yeah, thank you.
Dan and Bobby, you'll be meeting with him
Divide by 9.
next week.
Yeah, Bobby and I are gonna make sure the HTML is.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know what an HTML is?
No, I don't. Need a sound professional.
So Doug has made the motion. Do we have a second?
second.
Deb, thank you. Sorry, Dan. You are a loser. Just kidding. Any further discussion? I'm ecstatic about this.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for you guys doing this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
I'm gonna abstain because I do know him and I just feel like I should do that.
That's fine. I appreciate putting that on the record. So it passes 6-0 with one abstention. All right. Thank you. Very, very, very glad for that. All right. Let's get back to whatever the heck we were doing before. Megan, you have other stuff for your
Oh
report.
yeah, Dan, he can take that over. It's a real downer. Okay.
Just wanted to talk about
Yeah.
You want me to do it?
If you want to, I'll make this so horrible. Okay, I'll do some of it.
Listen, these discussions, we're not going to decide anything tonight, but these discussions are important, especially for prioritizing and hopefully having some settlement money
Okay,
coming
so
soon.
Dan brought up last meeting that there was a part that has been leaking. I sent over a photo to Dan. Dan, you've seen it. Rob's seen it. I didn't know what it was. Apparently a flange had been corroded. It's called a basket strainer. It's a part of our filtration system, and basically what it does is it filters out, I think it's like a micron, something to like a micron of debris before it goes into the rest of the filtration system, which they're called the membranes, and they're very expensive. Our filtration system is incredible. If you've never seen it, like go over and check it out.
This is not the GAC system. Our
No.
regular system.
Normal.
If you want to see a cool water system, go over and check it out. But we don't want that thing breaking because each one of those filters, I think, is like Dan, maybe
I-
$1,000 for one of them, and there's several of them.
Yes.
I think
So
it's more than that. Kenny, how much are those? Do you remember?
I think they're more like 10,000.
10,000
Yeah,
a
per,
piece?
per two.
For
Per each
set.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's really important that nothing gets in there that is a huge particulate. So we need to replace this basket strainer. There's two of them. They are a sole source, so the company that makes them is Amiad. Apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, but a man named Paul Aria is the one that helped build the filtration system for that building.
Believe so. I wasn't involved in
Okay.
the new building,
Well, they're-
I was, what?
They're part of the design component.
Yeah.
So if we're going to replace it, it has to be with that one. There's two of them, and they
Yeah, it's like a
cost.
proprietary thing.
Yes, they cost $30,000 to $45,000 a piece. So,
I mean, this is why we have a multi-million-dollar debt for the water plant.
It is.
It's a huge, huge
And
expense.
with everything.
That's the
doesn't
bond,
matter
that's
if
in the
it's
bond?
Stainless steel or cast iron or ductile iron pipe, everything's gonna corrode over time with water and the humidity and everything else.
okay, so one thing that I've been talking about for quite some time, it feels like forever, is the humidity factor inside of our water department. Josh today said that it was teetering on 72 to 74% relative humidity.
So in or outside?
That's inside.
Outside, of
So basically,
Yeah,
like
that's it,
a
Robert.
rain cloud could develop
Sorry,
within the
it
building.
took me a minute to get it online.
Yeah, that's it.
Like that's not even.
No, it's manageable, so like with all the, the cold water comes up and it goes through those pipes and it just condensates. I mean, there's an inch of water on the floor at any given time, especially in this kind of weather.
Right.
I mean,
So with that, we know that all of the chemicals, the chlorine, it makes for a caustic environment, which means everything's going to rust. If we don't get the humidity level under control, we're going to keep seeing failures like this, which is bleeding us. So I really recommend that whatever we do going forward, we really prioritize the dehumidification unit, which means we're going to have an engineer come in, give us the specs, draw out what we need to do. That has to go into the newspaper for 30 days, put it out to bid, and get it in there. No, the pump that failed is sole source. The dehumidification problem means we need a new dehumidification unit. The one that's in there is not sufficient. It has never been sufficient. I don't know why it was in there in the first place. So that is definitely a goal of mine. It has been a goal of mine for quite some time. I mean, we just replaced the electrical panel, there's control units that go down, everything's electric and everything's water.
Yeah, we had to move everything because the water had just gotten on top of the panels, so it just drips down from everywhere. If you've ever been in there, there's just pipes everywhere.
Yeah.
And they condensate and the water just drips on all of the PLC panels and they're thousands and thousands of dollars.
Jim and Josh have been great working through all of the issues. They have a smaller dehumidification unit that I believe they brought in themselves to keep the moisture out of their office space, out of the bathroom. And what they said, quote unquote, is to keep the tiles from peeling off the wall. So it's a problem. It's a really big problem.
Yeah,
I know we all have a lot of wants and things for multiple departments, but this right here is our water system and we can't have things failing.
So this is priority number one.
It's not replaced, we don't have another water department. Like Dana said, we can't plug into another municipality. Like this is number one priority. Is there anything else you wanna?
Yeah, a couple things. One, just putting my full-time job hat on for a minute. You could have I'll call it OSHA, since that's what everybody knows. It's actually Public Employee Safety and Health, but basically the same thing. You could have an issue with that kind of standing water. You're not supposed to have standing water in a workplace unless you work in water.
Right.
You better be a lifeguard or something like that. So I'm not quite so sure. What's that?
Yeah, the senior center.
Yeah, the senior center.
Come on, the seniors survived for all those years with it down there.
We have to make this a priority. Those two red things right there are leaking pretty bad. And when I went down there when the engineer was there from
Delaware?
No, he came along with the group that did the quote, and
It's or Delaware. You already said Delaware.
No. It was a company that came in to give us a quote on the dehumidification.
Okay.
I wanna say it was like,
He's got 2 quotes, right?
Yeah,
So far?
we have a couple.
I wanna say it was like Main Care or something. The name, it's a commercial company
Is
that
it Roland
does.
J. Down?
No,
That's who does the boiler, there's Roland J. Down.
no, I wanna say, I know the name of it, but
That's all right.
at any rate, I came down just, I only planned on spending a few minutes. My wife was with me. She's a materials engineer, so she deals with metal stuff. But I mean, she looked at it and said, what they would do on a steam boiler system on a ship or whatever, is take that off and grind the flange, the rust out, but that's probably not gonna work for that. It's just, it's too far gone, and you've got channeling the rust eating it like for
Right.
almost like ant holes, like bores into the steel after a while. So that, unfortunately, the flange and the casing on that, it's all one casting. If you look at it, there's no separability between that flange, which is barely visible,
It's
and
just,
the
it's
bottom.
one piece, yeah.
Yeah, where it meets the system, it's all one unit casting for the body of it. So, so the other thing I will tell you is speaking to the engineer who came to look, who was a very nice guy, 12 kids, talked to him for a while, whatever. But he said, I said, without getting into scientific measurements here, just speaking anecdotally, whatever. Where is the water, the moisture coming from? He thought about 80% was coming off of the pipes.
Not the floor. Because someone else I suppose it could be the
20%,
floor.
no. Definitely some is coming through the floor because concrete, contrary to what people think, is not a waterproof material. Moisture permeates through concrete. That's why they put plastic under concrete when you do it. But there is a water holding tank underneath there, so it's not like a thing where you put down stone and gravel, pressure run plastic and concrete. So some of it is coming through the floor, and that's just life, and you're going to have to pull that out with a dehumidification unit. We do need to probably look into getting a lot of these pipes wrapped. Would be a priority. So, I mean, I asked him how much he thought, and he was like, I don't wrap pipes, man, but I don't know, 8,000, 10,000, or I forget what he told. It wasn't like an enormous amount of money, but if we don't fix this stuff, we will have more failures. There is sensitive electronic equipment in there, and I drove a car 400,000 miles, as I was telling Meg earlier. That way I was able to do it was fixing stuff as soon as it broke. Before one $10 pulley breaks your timing belt and sends your engine in, and that's where we're at here. We have to invest some money in this water plant, or else we're gonna end up in a situation where we're gonna be making heavy investments.
I mean, just 2 of these are $90,000. Like, that's as much as the dehumidification unit costs.
There's two things in this village that there simply is no redundancy for, and that is the sewer and the water system.
Yep.
There just is no other option available to us to merge with another department. Where we can't connect to Troy, we can't connect to Ben. We have to maintain this.
Okay.
So
And
anyway.
It was just the other thing was cost. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I mean, before you can even wrap the pipes, you still have to have the dehumidification system in, because you can't wrap up pipes.
Yeah, that's
Right,
the
they're
first
still
one.
gonna be wet, just
It's
wet.
just gonna sweat.
I spoke to Dave Engel a little bit about this, and we've done this in the past. If we have a dollar figure from a settlement that's coming to us, we can pursue a revenue anticipation note as a short term of debt based on revenue we anticipate that is coming.
Okay.
So it is possible that if we get a definitive answer on how much that is, that may be money that we can instantly use via a revenue anticipation. And there's, procedures that we have to do and
Sure.
things of that nature. But in a sense, that would be either less likely to cause other issues by going into more debt because it's revenue specific. And we've done them in the past. We had to do them, I feel like it was last year, just knowing that the water sewer money was coming a little bit later than some bills were due.
No, we did it, we did one.
Was it this year?
We just did it this year, about 4 months ago, when it was the county money, we were waiting for the county tax money to come in.
So that is another approach,
Yeah,
and that would give us a way to greenlight this
Revenue.
rather quickly. Does he have 3 quotes yet? For the dehumidification system?
So that has to be, it's kind of more of a process than getting quotes. I thought it was just a quoted thing, but it actually is gonna probably be something we need to bid out for.
Right.
Because we have
Right.
to have a company install it. So, and it has to be the right specs, so it has to be
And
perfect for the-
Robert's putting them bid specs together, right? From Delaware?
I believe we I don't think we
I think
officially.
so. I don't think
we gave him the go ahead.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
not
he
set in
knows
stone.
about it, but if we could say go for it,
Yeah.
that's going to cost us a bit of money too. That's a whole other process.
What's gonna cost us money?
To have
To get it quoted?
To have an engineer come in and
They have to-
design
Oh,
and
yeah,
bid.
they have to
Yeah, you
design
have to
it.
have somebody come in and spec it out, and,
Okay.
you know, and you want a neutral person, you don't want, a company that you're gonna.
Oh, yeah, you don't want the company who's gonna do it, right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so,
And I think the estimated cost was like $12,000 to $15,000, which I thought was high, but.
For the engineering or for the?
For the specs.
Give me a second, 'cause I feel like I've seen that.
so the other thing is, putting in these new wells, I mean, it makes sense to have the water plant up and running to operate these new wells.
Absolutely.
If I was to shoot from the hip on this based on my time I spent over there talking to the engineer and everything else, I think we need to plan for probably $175,000.
I think you're being low.
I think so too.
Well, I think you've got these two things. You have the dehumidification unit, you have the electrical to the dehumidification unit, and you have the pipe routing.
Maybe 250,000, maybe more.
Okay, I mean, maybe I am
You lowballed it. It's a lot.
Well, but I mean, if we know that, we don't know for sure, but we're anticipating getting money from the lawsuit that,
That's where I would like to put that money
well,
directly.
we can't put all of it there.
No, it might have to.
Well, we can't put all of it there, because we gotta put some for Kenny, for a truck, I mean, we gotta spread the wealth on the money.
You gotta get your humidifier from the money, and then there's only so much money.
Kenny, you're good with
Garbage,
those
you're gonna use the money.
excavator entrance money, that's what
Yeah,
we're doing.
yeah, I don't need anything money for this.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, we don't need the highway department. We'll just,
I'll make it work.
I'm just
I'll make it
saying,
work.
like, if we want our water department to run efficiently, we have to do, it doesn't matter where the money's coming from, we have to figure it out.
It's a workplace safety issue.
It really
Yes.
is, so, I mean, grant money, no grant money.
The whole village
Not
safety
only,
issue is for
not only
water.
is it a workplace safety issue, it's a public health issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and on top of that, your downstream costs are gonna be a lot more,
Yeah.
right, for trying to maintain
Guys,
this.
the last thing we need is another water problem.
Hey, I sent a text to Flores. 'Cause I feel like I had asked Delaware Engineering to send me a quote to do the engineering, but I don't have one.
Okay.
I like to be somebody that kind of learns from mistakes of the past, and I think that my understanding is, and this happened around the time that I moved in here, is that a certain prior mayor didn't want to sink a lot of money into certain infrastructure on this town.
anything.
And they ended up with consent orders and everything.
Yep.
For lack of upkeep and maintenance, and it was too far gone.
Yep.
And so it's just not my. I keep my cars to 500,000 miles.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that. It's maintenance.
All right. Thank you for this uplifting
It's horrible.
walk through reality, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Anything else you want to say about this?
Do we
No.
need to take any action authorizing you on the?
We don't have bid
note
specs.
or anything?
If we do, we'll do it over email super fast.
Okay.
So
And-
you've let Flores know from Delaware that we are going to give us some specs. So
Yes.
we can bid it out.
That's the next step.
Once we get the specs, we'll have to put it in the newspaper for 30 days. for the
Bidding.
process.
Yep.
And then we'll go forward with that.
I want to say that I've been down there and talked with Robert about that. I'm not sure if he hasn't.
He might have
already
done it,
something,
yeah.
has something written up already.
I shot him a text. He'll get it to us next week.
Okay.
He has to finish it. He's currently on vacation. Outrageous. Just
Can you
kidding.
imagine?
All right.
That's vacation.
Anything else, Megan?
Come on.
Yes.
You want to go for
We want
it?
you to forget.
Oh, all these downers. Are we talking Scott Street? Is that what-
Yeah, Scott
Oh.
Street.
Okay, so Scott Street. I know we talked about this maybe a couple years ago. I believe Neil had been working on some things. If anyone wants to jump in, go ahead. It looks like the line needs to be replaced. There was 4 failures?
So we were going to replace the water line on Scott Street 2 years ago. We had dug everyone's service, we had it marked out, we ran new service lines. Department of Health came in and stopped us and said, you guys have to run, you can't run, because I think it's 1.5 inch plastic line. They said you have to run at least 4-inch ductile iron, and there has to be a fire hydrant every 500 feet.
4-inch what?
4-inch ductile iron pipe.
Ductile iron.
And there has to be a fire hydrant, I believe it's every 500 feet.
Okay,
And it needs to be designed by an engineer.
right.
That was the stopping point right
Yeah.
there.
So then all work was halted.
Yep, so then we've been
I
up
do
there
remember that.
continuously.
Yes.
Last year, I don't know how many times we were up there. We've been up there 4 times this year since April already. The last day we did, I think it was 60 feet long, and in that 60 feet, there were four different individual holes in the pipe that were spraying water out of the holes. There's still several more holes. I mean, you can see it, if you take a ride up Scott Street and you look at the lawn, there's water bubbling up out of people's lawn. But we can only do 150 feet at a time per Department of Health. So we've been going up and replacing a big section of pipe and then giving it a couple days so nobody, gets all riled up. And then,
Right.
our plan is to do another, 150 feet. But eventually we have to do something. I mean, I think it all stemmed from a few years ago. Somebody at the end of that street, it's a dead-end street, sold a bunch of property to a logging company. And there were big, huge logging trucks coming down
Crushing
there.
it.
And and that pipe, like I said, it's only black plastic pipe, it's 1.5 inches. Some spots it's 3 feet deep, some spots it's 6 feet deep. Somebody just dug a trench and rolled it out, up the hill, and so that's how that went. So it's in dire need of replacement. It's an issue. I mean, and it's in the town.
I was gonna say, that's the kicker, it's in the town.
It's in the town, and the town just paved that road 2 years ago, and we've got it all tore up again. I mean, it's brand new blacktop.
It's our water district, but it's in the town.
So this is the engineering reports that Delaware did that we submitted in 2023. It was resubmitted in 2024 with a couple changes, but this is the 2023 one. And within this larger grant that we are going for, the scope of the project, I want to say, is like a $7 million overall everything. But Scott Street is included in all the streets that we were looking to.
Scott Street right now, Scott Lane.
Yeah.
What about Clay Hill?
There is a Scott Lane in the village as well.
Mann's over there.
Mechanic Street is in there.
Man.
Yes, Mechanic Street is there.
That's a joke.
No, well, all those streets are.
A lot of these are Clay Hill, actually.
They're all part
A
of
lot of them are in the town.
Yeah.
Hampton, Seward, and
Now, we applied for this grant and didn't get it. One of the things we realized, which blows my mind, but this is the way that the game is played. If we decide to move forward with this and we secure funding through EFC for it, it makes us more likely to get a grant. So the way to get grants is to decide to move forward on a project like this. So, except for the fact that like money and debt, there's nothing stopping us from moving forward with this project that is going to be multi-million dollars. And this project includes these improvements. It also includes replacing the Rogers Avenue tank, and I'll try to find a quick summary page on that off over here.
Can you post that on
Brad, do you want
Facebook so
water?
it's not Clay against the world anymore?
That's all you were.
So bottom line is, we need to address this in the very near future.
Yeah, in fact, in this plan here, wow, Windows are doing crazy stuff. Where is it? It lists out. Hold on, where'd it go? I just had it. Well, I had it before I switched screens, but it listed out the actual length of Scott Street, the amount of hydrants. I'll find it in a minute.
All I know, that was the bottom line, I saw millions, so that's not good.
That's just for this alternative.
Yeah, I know.
Give me
Yeah, it's over.
I'll try to find it again. Every time I move it, it shifts to a different page. That doesn't really help me. So anyway, these are all parts of larger discussions that we'll be having over the next several months. Hopefully, we'll be able to act on a couple of these sooner rather than later. Or we'll just basically direct Mark to ticket every single car, and we'll use that as raising funds.
Rob, do you recall how much money in reserve do we have in the water account?
Reserve?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a reserve.
I mean, we have a
There
fund
is
balance.
yeah, the fund balance. in
Yeah.
water.
Give me a minute.
$7.47.
I think water,
No, water should be.
I know we tap into it for other kinds of expenses, but this is exactly why we need to maintain a capital reserve. Fund balance reserve.
Can we borrow some from the town, Mark?
Can we restrict?
Just cut them off.
We'll split the cost of Scott Street with
Can we cut back our water district?
you. We'll give you the water district. Yeah.
Estimated fund balance, I think, is 210,000.
I know we had a couple of cents.
Maybe I want to say it's between 150 and 250. Or between 200. I would have to confirm with Denise.
A new billing going out the first week of August, right?
Yes, where all costs are quadrupled. I'm just kidding. Don't put that in any paper. Just kidding. Okay,
There's no paper here to put it.
that's true. All right. So, dare I ask anything else? Hey, Deputy Mayor Ryan, you're up.
I'm good.
Sweet.
I'm tired.
Nope.
Okay, so what are we doing with that basket filter?
With what?
With the filter that they need to replace is leaking all over the place?
That was 10,000, that was a $10,000.
Which?
$30,000 to $45,000 for that one basket filtration. It's the one that goes before the
The red one.
yeah, the red one that we just looked at. What are we doing with that?
Does he have a quote on that?
3 quotes.
Well, unless it's a
Single
single,
No,
a
it's
sole
single
provider.
source.
We need a quote on that, and if it's part of his equipment replacement budget, he can just do it. But then if he feels like he's gonna be behind later on normal equipment repair stuff, you guys should find that out from him.
You better grab the pool guy and get him to fill up every day down here. For,
Seriously.
Some of that water.
Okay.
All right.
Charge the town for the pool water in town.
You do pay for that, don't you?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they pay usage.
We'll just move the decimal a few more.
All right. So let's zip through the rest because this will be easy.
Sorry, guys.
No, this is what we need. We need the priorities. We need to know how things are going. We need the reality of the situation, even if the reality sucks. We're not going to be putting our heads in the sand.
No.
Old business done. Yay, we're done. That is an old slide that wasn't supposed to be there. New business. Okay. I have documents for the organization meeting. I think because it's 8:41, because I just got them finalized today, I don't think we have to pull the trigger on these tonight. I think we can look over these, comment and email.
And remove Kevin and Bobby Decker.
Yeah, I updated that. I grabbed the wrong run. I was really ticked off about that when he mentioned it.
It happens.
It's one stupid copy and paste I did wrong. I just want to talk very briefly about this and summarize this and take questions on it. But this is very different than the way the old organizational meeting agenda looked. Now, we don't have to do this tonight. We can postpone it for a special meeting or just put it as the opening of the August regular meeting. But I've set this up to be a reusable thing and so on. In a normal situation, most municipalities do this in the beginning of the new terms, which for our village with the March election is April 1st or whichever Monday comes after that. So if April 1st falls on a Saturday, it would be Monday, April 3rd when the new term starts. Normally, it's called to order. You would do the swearing in, which is more ceremonial. There's a 30-day requirement to have the oaths of office filed. That's separate, but it's kind of a ceremonial thing, but still done. The mayor is the sole person who appoints the deputy mayor, which of course is always going to be Bobby Ryan. Thank you, Bobby Ryan, forever for me.
Don't tell his wife that.
What's that? Then one of the things I found out is that the way we were doing our let me get to that first. Let me talk rules of procedure. This actually ended up being a bigger thing than I had expected to jump into because all of our organizational meetings we're using a revised version of Robert's Rules. Anyone who knows Robert's Rules knows we are not doing anything related to Robert's Rules here. So one of the resolutions that I have up there here puts in a formal situation and resolution procedures for meetings. And I'm just going to just narrate this generically now. We can look it over and comment on it and prepare it properly for the August meeting. So this is the village law that says the board that it can determine its own rules. So there's about 12 different points. This is what sets the regular meetings as the second Wednesday of the month, and I put out all of the meetings for the rest of the year so that it's in one spot. And I propose that the next village organizational meeting will be set for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025, as that is when newly elected terms begin. Special meeting requirements. This is tapping a lot into what we already know are requirements from open meetings law. But this does state that a special meeting may be called by the mayor or the deputy mayor upon notice to the entire board. This talks more about how board members have to be noticed with at least 24 hours advance unless it's an emergency requirement. All of the normal special meetings postings for 72 hours would still apply, and that's not related to this. This states what we already know about quorum, just puts it in there. Executive session, it includes that it has to be made by motion from a former properly noticed and conducted open meeting to do executive session. This hard codes that the agenda is to be prepared by the mayor and or clerk at the direction of the mayor. Before I started, Ann Bourne as clerk had always been doing this. When Ann passed and Marie took on the village clerk, she was not as comfortable with Microsoft Word stuff, and so I took that on, and at some point I'm looking to shift this back to you being in control of that, so board members can just reach out and say, hey, put this on the agenda. But I didn't want to throw all that at you early on, so we'll get there.
Just to be clear, it kind of reads a little odd, because the mayor creates the agenda. The preparation or drafting of it can be the mayor or the clerk. That kind of reads initially, when I first read it's prepared, the clerk could prepare the agenda, and then it gets into the items placed. I just think it's a little reversed. You create the agenda.
I do now.
They can prepare it. The clerk can prepare it, but the clerk doesn't create the agenda.
You put the items on, she does the typing.
Yeah, and that's an option.
Yes, we can revise this however we
I
want.
would just do it so it's clear that the mayor sets the agenda and there's trustees, and then the clerk
There-
does the clerk. That's the option.
Yes, there are some situations where the clerk is the one who sets the agenda, and the mayor and the trustees send information to her on what needs to be on the agenda.
But there's not a decision of the agenda by the clerk. That's a routine thing. The clerk doesn't decide what's going to be on the agenda of the board.
I know what you're saying. Remind me when I get through this, because there's a list that talks about that, but I know what you're saying. This version required items to the agenda provided to the clerk in writing or via email at least 24 hours before the start time. Draft agenda must be prepared by noon on the day of the meeting, but we could change that. If items need to be placed on the agenda, they can be at any time, and if necessary, a supplemental agenda may be distributed in case of. These are all just kind of procedural things. This is always Dan's favorite time of day, right?
Yes.
This is just general voting information. Nothing really specifically new there. General rules of procedure I thought were important.
Hey, Rob,
yeah.
Under voting,
Yes.
shouldn't that be general municipal law?
It should.
Construction.
That came from that
Designer got a hold
What did I just do? I don't know what I just typed. Apparently I'm reading aloud. Oh, this is, yeah, I'll fix that on the Word document. Okay, Dan who hates these got the first word correction on. Yes, general municipal law. Each member of the board has one vote. The mayor may vote on any matter, but must vote in the case of a tie. That's all standard municipal law stuff. Vote taken on the ayes and nays. The names of the members present and their votes must be entered into the minutes. This gets also into rules for minutes. The general procedures talks about the mayor presiding. In the mayor's absence, the deputy mayor presides. The presiding officer may debate, move, or take any action that may be taken by other members. This really gives a little bit more teeth to controlling the meeting, which we tend to have habitually been a lot of dialogue with people who are there. We don't have to do it that way, and most municipalities don't do it that way. This would give the teeth and the impotence for the presiding officer, mayor, deputy mayor, to say, nope, we're just going to listen and we're going to move on, and there's a bunch of comments for general public stuff as well. The guidelines for public comments, by the way, this all came from a draft, like standard NICOM suggested one, so anything we can do in here is changed. This is probably the biggest thing, and I want to give you guys a lot of time to think about this and comment on this. This gives many more specifics for how public comments can work, and
I
it
don't
will.
think anyone needs to step to the front of the room.
No,
Like they're.
they should stand.
No, in this room they could move forward, but they don't need to.
Yeah.
I'd love to have a podium or a stand with a microphone so they could set notes if they wanted to, but
Not here.
not in this room.
Like speakers are welcome to step to the front of the room.
So little things like this we can propose and discuss, but there's some very
Step to the front of the room is better.
interesting language here that we can decide to clean up, address, or strike. But this is what's going to hard code how we give structure and keep things moving and make sure that we don't get lost in a back and forth.
I mean the 5-minute timeline. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's critical, I think.
There will be people who will
3
go
minutes.
much longer than 5. I've always been lax about that because I always wanted to err to the side of
Oh, sure.
we are open to people
Yeah.
talking.
And sometimes things might take a little.
Yeah. So there's a lot to digest here. There's a couple more things right there.
Is there anything there, kind of going back up,
Yeah, sure.
about
I like Jay.
addressing village employees? There was something about addressing.
There was something that all remarks must be addressed to the board as a body and not to any member
Well, how
thereof.
about being, okay, so addressing, like we go through, addressing a village employee
Yeah.
is prohibited, should we say that?
Well, I mean, what they would have to do is they would have to address the board about a situation with an employee.
For example, like Kevin did, he turned and talked to Mark. Today, he should be addressing it to the
If
board.
we had this rule set up and passed and
Yeah, but
explained.
I understand that, that's kind of implied, I'd rather see it stated directly.
No, I don't disagree. Yeah.
Then that's why I want to throw this out to you guys to edit and opine on. And this has to be in there, otherwise we can't just say don't do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information on minutes and what stuff should and shouldn't be. The nice thing was that we do pretty much all of this already. But it does specify exactly what types of things are going to be in the minutes, and that would give you guidance
Nice.
to have this. Do you want me to scroll down or give you a moment? This one I think is going to be a little bit of discussion right here because this specifically states that you're not containing a summary of the discussion. Sometimes we do want that. We've discussed that in the past, and we generally like things of that nature. So if we don't like this wording,
Yeah, I
this
think we
approach,
should do a summary of the discussions, because it shows our due diligence.
yeah, I like it.
Like in the water, there should
Yeah, no, I-
a simple brief summary.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with Doug, and also, I mean, the
Word
minutes
for
are
word.
also for
Word
people
for
to read
word.
and
Just kidding.
know what
I
people's
think they are.
Verbatim.
Trustee proposed gray paint, trustee
Can you do
Sal said
shorthand?
gray was too, whatever he wanted.
Nobody does shorthand anymore.
And looking over old minutes, it's really helpful to see people's responses. There's some minutes where it's practically verbatim. I'm like, oh dear God, it's like in 20.
we don't want that.
We don't want that, but it
We
does
don't need
help
a
to know.
stenographer here,
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
yeah.
So
Um,
won't forget anything.
You have to do shorthand to do that.
Now, so what happens in a meeting? The overall format is listed out right here. This is adjusted for what we typically do. There's other things that could be added in here. Mayor updates was never a thing before I got here. That was something I wanted to add just so that big projects would be kind of on the radar, especially when the PFOA stuff was really big and when I started. But we can always modify this.
Can I just ask you a question? The moment of silence thing, should we reserve that for meetings where there's an actual intended purpose? If we've had a couple people die, what have you.
To
As
be
opposed
honest
to
with you,
just-
Dan, since I've been on the board, even with Dave George, it's always been.
It's always
that
been
way.
there.
It's always been.
It's always
that way.
been, yeah.
Have to do it.
No, it doesn't have to. I'm just saying, in all the years I've been on this,
Yeah, no,
this
I-
board, it's been that way.
There's no problem with us taking it out. It's super
I'm-
awkward.
My,
Everyone
yeah, it
goes to
is-
sit down and then they're like, oh, with a moment of silence.
Yeah, no, I feel like it has more meaning when it's done as needed for a specific purpose.
The only problem that you're going to run into with that is if we decide not to do it for someone and someone is upset
Skips-
about that.
Right, that's why
That's
it's easier
probably
to do it every
why.
time.
But to your point,
I
I
see
get
what
it.
you're saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's more special
when it has an intended.
Well, hopefully we won't need it for any of us in the room.
Now, Rob, I know I threw the suggestion on the email today about committee
You know
reports.
who I thought of?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they could follow the department report, then
I like-
it's a line.
I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
He's always like, I'm good.
Do you guys like the idea of
I do.
melding committee reports with department reports and putting it in one spot?
I was gonna suggest that. I like that. It's
I
always weird because like I don't know what to talk about right now,
Yeah.
but I'll wait till later. Like
Yeah.
why don't we
And
just
it
do
may
it now?
move everything along nicely.
I agree with that. I agree with
Makes more
that.
sense, though. Water
So
department.
let's,
So the committee reports would only be if there's not related to a department,
Right,
yes,
something else.
like economic development.
yes.
Yeah.
We'll massage the language there.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Well, and
Now,
if your
I'm sorry.
if like your trustee report is different than your department, like say you've been working on something different, like the website thing, that would be my
Yes.
separate.
That's totally different, sure.
Right,
Yeah.
that would be my separate report.
Yeah.
Or it may just fall under new business. And we may not even need trustee reports.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. It just seems like it's more streamlined.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. And then the last thing, which I was really glad to see, because we don't have this, is guidelines for use of recording equipment. Now, I added this one myself because this puts it on us, and this is something we prioritize and we have. But it also doesn't require it. It says we're going to make every effort, and I feel like we do that. What's that?
I said, yeah, we do.
Yeah, when I'm here. I forgot to ask someone to put their phone on and hit record, so I missed that. And it also allows the presiding officer, which is typically the mayor, but I made sure presiding officer in case the deputy mayor is running it, or if neither of us are here, we'll just have Olivia run everything. It would be, a trustee who would take the reins in that situation.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Yeah.
All members of the public are also allowed to tape or video record public meetings, which is obviously great, so long as they are present. I don't know if you got,
So long as they are present.
there's been a few issues nationwide, I don't know if you've seen the news.
Oh.
Recording devices under a chair, to try and catch people talking about things, whatever.
Oh, after the fact.
And New York State law is you have to record someone. You have
Single
to be
party
a
consent.
party. Well, you have to be a party to that conversation. So if you set up a secret camera or whatever, you're not a party to that
So you put under
conversation.
there when present,
That's-
right?
yeah.
Under being when present.
Yeah.
Yeah, when present.
Or does that also include when the meeting's officially convened? Can they record prior to the meeting and after the meeting and record the
Yes,
meeting
they can.
conversation?
I think
So
so.
they can record other people talking prior
Yeah, yeah.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't limit that.
So I looked into recording meetings
Mhm.
and the state law around that.
Yeah.
So you probably want to talk to Elena about adding that clause because there's some overriding state law about, for example, you said multi-party, right? 'Cause the non-executive session is a public thing,
Right.
so it's just from the wording, just make sure that you don't accidentally set something up that conflicts with the state law.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But I just want to be clear, so somebody could come in here, we haven't convened the board meeting yet, and record conversations that occur.
Beforehand, absolutely.
Because this is a public building, they
Yes.
record anybody without even being part of the conversation.
Because they're a single party. They're the single party consent. So I could walk in 20 minutes before a board meeting and just be recording on my phone. Audio
No different
phone.
than anybody
But
taking a police officer when they're doing an arrest, right?
recordings by anyone is not allowed during executive session. Anyone, including literally a person who sets up a mic in here or us. So if by chance that ended up leading to some sort of legal action against us, we'd be like, no, that's prohibited.
It's a felony. It's eavesdropping.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So this was built in. I liked to see that. We need to have Elena review this, but this is the resolution that gave us actual teeth and structure to what we do. Instead of this is always what we've
So
done.
given this, and that has to be changed, it does make sense to move the
Yes.
organizational meeting to the August.
Yes.
So it's all done in one package.
Yes.
and you know what's right.
And then I did fix the appointments. We've already talked through the procurement and policy, so that resolution is set. These are the only people, and I went through this with NICOM, and I went through this mostly with civil service, but they didn't call me back. These are the only people who get appointments. That's it. All of the other people, which I'm going to list in a moment, are
Discretionary?
let me show you. They're positions of employment and are not appointed. So
They're at will then.
No.
No. They're and it's sometimes it's competitive and non-competitive class, but the majority of the time, once they are appointed and once they've gotten through their what's the first 6 to 12 probationary period, they're hired. They're working. They have civil service protections.
I'll give you the very quick rundown if you want on that. The positions that are appointed above serve at the will of the board or the mayor, depending on how the law works. I don't know.
And that's all based on village law.
I think they generally serve at the pleasure of the mayor.
I'm going to interrupt you on just one quick thing.
Yep.
NICOM told me that they changed the title on this recently. The courts did. So the associate village justice is an annual appointment, which is Harold, whereas Rustino is the elected one. The courts are the ones to decide the distribution, but technically speaking, I think that Rustino would be considered the head judge, and they changed the name to associate. And more interestingly enough, there's a nuance over the court clerk. The court clerk is not appointed every year. The court clerk is not only overseen by court, but if I felt like there was a disciplinary situation and I wanted to fire the court clerk and I had cause, the court would have to agree. The judge would have to agree. It was just a weird thing to find out.
But going to Dan's point.
But back to Dan, I'm sorry.
The appointments are by the mayor.
No, these appointments are approved by the board.
Okay.
The only appointment...
It's appointed
unless
by
it's a
the
vacancy.
mayor, subject to approval
By the board.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. The only appointment that that the mayor role makes is deputy mayor. And if there's a vacancy that needs to be filled.
So it's a nomination. They're not-
Yes. That's a great way to put
That
it.
sounds like a good job. Some
Now-
register of vital statistics. That sounds like fun. I want that
Now,
job.
all of these positions fall into competitive or non-competitive positions, which means they're permanent civil service positions. The only difference, the big difference is competitive receives Section 75 civil service protection upon completion of the probationary period,
Yep.
which is set by civil service, can be 6 months, it can't be more than a year, it can't be less than 12 weeks. Non-competitive, 5 years to get civil service protection unless they're a veteran or a member of a volunteer fire department. Then they can
Yes.
say it's competitive.
Yes.
Okay,
What about the rescue squad? Is that
so wait a minute.
No.
So when
It should, if fire does.
I know
So,
it should.
so what you're saying, Dan, though, so you have, if we wanted to get rid of any of those people, what
Gotta
has
have
to take?
cause, gotta have cause.
So let me
You gotta
just...
bring them up on charges.
We never
Yeah.
did before.
We did it wrong, and if we ever got sued.
How long ago was that?
Our last cleaner, wasn't that long ago?
The last cleaner decided to resign.
There was a resignation.
And that would be fine. If there was a discipline, like if there was a situation where let's say for a minute, for point of example, a cleaner was caught stealing something, which is not nor ever been the case, but I'm just going to throw it out there. We would have to follow up disciplinary procedures, and there are certain protections. I don't think they're fully Section 75, but you would still have to go through discipline, and unless they chose to resign.
Okay.
Okay, so if they do not have Section 75 protection yet, you can generally dismiss them for cause.
And that's
So
after
long-
how many years, Dan, you said?
If it's non-competitive or waiver class, it's 5 years unless they're volunteer firemen or
Okay,
veteran.
so if they've been in that position less than 5 years, they're
You
fair
generally
game.
can, you generally can discharge them
Okay.
unless it's for an unlawful purpose or the law says shocking to the conscience.
Okay.
I'm serious, that's what it is.
No, that makes sense, I just wanted,
Shocking to the conscience is
Well,
like,
as an
Your mental health condition.
because that's not what happened the last time.
yeah, shocking to the conscience is like stuff that falls outside of whatever, but maybe the mayor fires someone
Yeah.
because they've had too many kids and they don't like him and their sister was with this.
Now, let's say for a minute we had Bobby Ryan as a per diem deputy clerk, which we don't because you're. But that's a per diem. I think there's probably different rules on how that would applied if it would continue or not. But I'd have to check with Elaine and Elena on that. But we habitually have been appointing these every year on a year or 2 year basis. And after diving deeply into the rabbit hole of this terrible situation of village law and how clear and not clear they are, and the fact that it's New York State and nothing is ever easy in New York State, all of this is. I'm like 99% accurate on everything. There's 1 or 2 things that I'm waiting to hear back from the civil service on.
So basically, this is just a recognition that they're in that.
Yes, and this is not required through the organizational meeting, but for the point of the fact that we're changing what we've always done, I wanted it there. So
We'll put it up on the website.
yes.
I'll use, for example, the water treatment plant operator type A. That's their, I can tell you that's their actual civil service job titles.
Yep.
I can tell you those positions are non-competitive, and I can tell you both of them have been here for more than 5 years, so they would be subject to Section 75 Civil Service Due Process Procedures. In the event that the village chooses to remove them for cause, which would either be misconduct or incompetence.
And just to give you
Or shocking to this.
an idea on how civil service has worked, the water treatment plant operator type A, the description comes from 1971
There's some older.
and has not been updated. The superintendent of public works was adopted in May 5th of 1977, but originated in 63. The wastewater treatment plant operator was actually updated in 2002. That's considered recent.
The reason behind that was when they divided into different classifications. So they no longer had a wastewater treatment plant operator. What is it?
Type A, type B, type C.
Type B, type C. So they took the job title, eliminated the old generic one, and created 3 job titles for an A, B, and a C. That's
Yes. And I always come back to this. The one consistent person who handled civil service for nearly 3 decades for the
Ann
village
Bourne.
was, God bless her soul, Ann Bourne. And when she passed, 98% of what the village knew about civil service went with her.
All of them.
Yeah. So we have to fix that. And fortunately, we have a guy who speaks the language here.
Yeah, what is it?
It's super
It's
weird.
not like civil service has their, you know what to get out.
No, they don't
They're,
have that.
they're getting it together, and we can request updates to things, which is the next step that we as a village need
So
to do.
civil service rules are very, very black and white. And basically the long and short of it is, like for example, Josh and Jim there. That is their title. We extrapolate their job description from civil service. There is a job description. It tells us everything we want to know. It says competitive, non-competitive, their job duties, the qualifications, and all that kind of stuff. Where you get into really kooky stuff. For example, Mark's job title, Code Enforcement Officer. Code Enforcement Officer, as far as the research that I have done, only applies to county government. It has never been applied to village service. It's very simple. We have to call down and ask to have that job title applied to village service. But as far as I can tell, there is a part-time code enforcement officer at village service, but there is no full-time.
See, they didn't find the part-time one, but I have all the documents here, and
It might be part-time building inspector. It may be something.
there were
really-
like 3 or 4 different code-related
Yes.
titles, and some of them were kind of like literal overlaps, which kind of blew my mind.
So the
but
way it
that's
should work is, and I'll say this because we're going to hire a part-time code enforcement officer. We call down to civil service and we say, this is what we want to hire, what's the job title? They say, here it is. It's the part-time code enforcement officer, and then we follow the rules that are on that thing. So that sheet will tell us if it's competitive, non-competitive. If it's competitive, it has to come off of an exam list and whatever.
yeah. So our next step is to take the bull by the horn and try to get this stuff cleaned up.
And if there is no part-time village code enforcement officer, then we need to ask them to create that position
Yep.
for us.
Now, just to highlight other boards.
It sounds complicated, but it's
The
actually-
planning board is there. Right now, Aaron Bazinski and Sandra Sargood would be up for a 4-year term. I have not directly spoken to them, so I don't want to pull the trigger on this right now. But NICOM explained that if by chance the board decided not to do anything different, Aaron and Sandy would actually continue to serve until the mayor or the board made a decision. So they are basically held in place and they float along until a decision is made. That's how it
Can we
works.
just appoint all of them?
So these are not appointments. These are who is currently serving.
Oh, okay.
However, Aaron's term is up in 2024, and Sandy's term is up. So we could, by motion, reappoint them, but I
Is
want
that the end of the
to
year,
talk with
Rob?
them first.
Or is that following
There's
the village
wiggle
year?
room on that. I think it should be based on the organizational meeting.
Which would follow the village's.
Right.
Right.
But
I have things happening.
we have been appointing people randomly as they come up. So
No kidding.
And those terms are effective at the date of appointment? Like in 2024, is it January 1st?
that's his question. That's his question. And I don't have an answer on that.
Yeah.
It's just easier to reappoint at the organizational meeting, but if we have to know the date, we'll do that.
And
They're all by
if we're doing it
resolution.
always at the organizational meeting, which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Can we this time do Aaron and Sandra?
Yes.
retroactive to April, whatever?
We don't need to. We would just be, because they're currently floating in that spot. So right now they're still serving even though their
Even
term
though
may
their
have
term
ended.
may have expired, they're still.
Because the
they're
board
there
hasn't
because nobody
acted.
replaced them.
Yeah. So we would need motions to reappoint them officially for 4-year terms, or as Elena suggested, we could just reappoint them, and if they say no thanks, then they could just resign, and then it would be the same effect.
We just got some of those people. So
We did, yeah,
so
we did.
give them the option of leaving.
Yeah.
It'd be just for the reappointments, not for this. We don't have to reappoint, say, Stephen. He just got appointed. He will not be reappointed next year. He'll just be noted that he's serving for 20 years. They have to stay forever. I got it. Zoning board is here, and Jason casually mentioned that yes, he would be willing to do it again. So that option is there, and that would be great and easy and wonderful. I included the Historic Preservation Commission because we just did this. I didn't include the CCRB because I need to get dates, and I just have to confirm that it would be on this document. But we'll do that. This will have a motion to declare the official paper and the official bank depository.
Thank you for doing the Eagle Press.
No problem. Well, that's our decision, but that's what I want to do. And that's another annual requirements. These need to be done.
It's just press releases, that's all.
Yep.
And I used to work.
These are the correct committee assignments. So my apologies on this. And one of the things I changed a little bit with the language for more of an explanation is, and this actually came from a NICOM person I spoke with, Mancini, I think was his name. The chairperson is the liaison between the board and the department and the department head. And they can help advocate, follow up, pass on information, which is how we do things. That's pretty much how we do things. So we can adjust this language, but this is how things are set right now. And it didn't used to be organized by groups. We did that recently to make it easier. I just kind of broke it in infrastructure, public safety, and services and policy. So if we wanted to reinvent this, take some out, put some in, it's board's discretion.
How does that, going back to the liaison role, because you technically supervise the employees.
Yes.
So how does that work just structurally, the liaison with the board and you at department head and your role?
One of the
You're not out of that loop.
No, I'm not out of the loop. I'm still kind of the person who does the ordering. And in fact, one of the things that Mancini from NICOM said that is always a surprise to many people is that department head or trustees who oversee aren't allowed to order employees to do things.
Yes.
That's still a mayor thing. It's still mayor executive branch control in a sense. So I'm still very much involved in the day-to-day, but this just gives trustees a chance to get into the weeds.
So I can't go over and yell at Kenny anymore?
I mean, you can yell at him, but you can't tell him to go do things. Yell at him all day.
You can't tell them where to go.
But my approach has always been like, this is not a part-time job, and I'm trying to fit it. So please, God, help. That's always been my approach. That may change with other future mayors. So, does anyone want to add into infrastructure related ones?
I thought we weren't going through this.
We don't have to if we don't want to, but I just figure it's up there. We can do it over email. That's fine to do it over email with the correct one.
Put the pressure on Brett, let's do it.
No.
No.
Nancy Haynes is the contact from Mohawk.
Okay.
Lives in Eagle Bridge or something like that.
I couldn't picture her
No,
running.
she
No?
lives on, she actually lives on
She in the
Griffin
village?
Avenue.
Oh, okay. So that would give us two animal control officers.
And they're both-
Oh.
But this is
Gives us
how it's set right now. We're not
Yeah.
deciding this now.
Well,
Can we collapse public relations and events?
Into one?
Yeah.
Yes, we could certainly do that.
And I know there's a website now, something. Could be added.
But the thing is, Kevin with events would actually, he organized the events.
Yeah, but.
he did.
But there's a request to
He
the
does know
board
that.
about losing property, there's lease issues,
Yeah.
so.
Yes, but,
Who's he talked to on the board?
Let me
About
ask you,
his events?
does
Kevin?
does that have to be?
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem.
Yeah.
He has his events,
Yeah.
and then we don't know about it, and then when we say, hey,
So,
we're doing something,
okay.
it's like, it sounds
There has to be a
like-
connection here, there has to be somebody on the board.
We could always contract with a non-board member
I'm just
and
saying,
pay
does it have to
them
be a board member?
to do things on behalf of the village. Since Kevin has always been a trustee for so long, he's kind of been doing the events de facto.
good at it.
Well,
He's
that's
great
not-
at it.
Yeah, he's really good
But
at it.
he necessarily doesn't have
doesn't
the
represent the
authority
board or
to do everything he's doing. So there has to be a sort of an in-between on that. And I would say he's talking to you on things and asking you questions, which is the right approach for that.
No.
So there's a little bit of a learning
Let's
curve.
clarify that.
Not
Now-
always. Now he is.
now.
That's, yes.
After running the hose across Main Street, he's no
Yes.
longer doing that.
Did you speak to him about that?
I did not,
Okay.
I think Bruce might have said something, he said,
Okay.
next time you leave the hose laying across the park, I'm gonna mow it over.
All right, that's one way to do it.
But I think there should be somebody,
Oh, yes.
even if this doesn't have to be a board member,
Yeah.
the village clerk, somebody that he communicates with.
Yes.
So we know what's going on here.
Yeah, 'cause he
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
represent the village.
No.
Nor
Not
the village
anymore,
resources
yes.
that are being applied.
Yeah.
And
He just expects like the police department to show up.
Yeah, and then we need to supplement that with the communication piece that isn't there right now, and that would be that.
Conversation.
Yes.
Go ahead, Bobby.
All right.
That'd be a good job for Mark.
The only other items are the motion to approve the committee appointments as stated, and then just to close it. That will be the organizational meeting going forward. It's actually going to be a smaller thing and a simpler thing.
Who's
I don't-
taking that or small money?
I don't want to move on this tonight. I have it listed as vacant right there. Vacancy was Deb.
And that also requires, is that automatically on that
Threw me under
board?
the bus, I don't think.
But
What's
Deb, I
that?
was gonna say, why are you getting off, Deb? Because Matt 300 of us?
Yeah, and I'm not driving down to Melrose, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, your tech, where is the meetings? Melrose?
Melrose. And they're only like four every other month or something. But, I mean, I do stuff for them here.
I was a little bit perturbed at the
The way he did that was not
Curtness
cool.
of that
I talk to him
email.
all the
That
time.
email sucked. Let's not sugarcoat it.
So,
So, these are the documents. With your approval, I would like
and the
to
person before me was on.
table organizational meeting actions until the August meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
Thank you. So we're going to table organizational meeting info. Doug and Bobby Ryan. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Carries. So we will have the organizational meeting in August. And I'm going to throw my pens. Kevin will be so excited. All right. We've already discussed 152 Main Street. We have not discussed... Oh, we have discussed water department future needs. We have discussed CHIPS funding. Two more items. Trustee Alter, assistant code enforcement position. We want to discuss that further on the agenda.
Oh, what, an assistant, what?
Well, I think we've talked enough about it
I've
that we
got
know
too
we
many
gotta.
papers here, I don't
Just
really
your
know where we
the
are.
trustee reports, I
Yeah.
think when Rob had asked us to like send him information that we wanted to add, that was just something that we probably had requested that we talk through.
And we already discussed
And we
it.
already discussed it.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you're
Do
satisfied-
you wanna
Yeah,
discuss-
No, I know,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't.
Yep.
Right.
I have one peculiar resolution that's actually really important for us to do. And this is a resolution authorizing an easement with National Grid to extend electrical service
I was wondering what that is.
to the new well field. Give me just a moment and I will close up a bunch of this. I'm going to save
Are
that.
they still operating as NIMO? Because I happened to notice that in the resolution.
Yes.
Now I feel better because I call NIMO to this day.
I call them National Grid.
It is actually,
National Grid.
National Grid.
That's what I call it.
it's actually Niagara Mohawk doing
TV.
business as.
National.
National.
And all their easements are recorded in National Grid.
Nothing makes you trust a company that has 2 to 3 names.
Oh, excuse me.
Only because
Ha!
I got the.
All right.
Ambulances are-
So, first off,
Out of 4.
this is the easement. This is the actual easement that Dave Engel has reviewed and is good with. This will allow National Grid to do the power work they need to do to give power to the new water plants. This easement, assuming you guys approve it tonight, I will sign it and send over back to him. This is the actual easement sketch.
In the town of Hoosick Falls.
I didn't know it was Gerald Lacrosse. All this time I had no idea.
Yeah, well, Jerry didn't know.
Jerry and Lisa.
Is it lacrosse
Lacey is
or
the daughter?
Lisa. No.
Is Lacey the
No
daughter?
relation. No relation.
Really, this whole time, Brett? Not related to Lacey?
No, not at all. The Lacrosses aren't related. That Jerry Lacrosse from Bank is not
That's
related.
it. I quit. Okay. So anyway, this is the electrical easement that they're looking for. We have a resolution that Elena looked over. Elena proposed and Dave gave the okay on. This is a resolution authorizing an easement with National Grid to extend electrical services to the new well field. It talks about the consent order the DEC has, the remedial investigation feasibility study work plan, the supplemental work plans, and in connection with those work plans, a new well field is being created. As such, National Grid needs an easement from the village in order to extend electrical services to the new well field. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Hoosick Falls in regular session to the convene as follows: that this Board of Trustees does hereby grant an easement to National Grid over village lands for the purpose of the extension of electrical service to the new well field and for the maintenance of the electrical service in the future, and further authorizes the mayor to execute the easement attached hereto and made a part of.
I'll move.
Doug got it. Dan seconds.
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call vote.
Yes.
Trustee Halter?
Yes.
Trustee Sauer?
Yes.
Trustee Walry? Yes. Trustee Zepping?
Yes.
Trustee Hanselman?
Yep.
Deputy Mayor Bobby Ryan?
Yes.
And Mayor Rob Allen?
Yes, thank you. Now, a slight tweak on. No, that's it. This is the. I spoke with Elena. We're gonna adjust slightly the language for executive session. Andy Gilchrist had set us up to just discuss personnel matters, but advisory opinions from Open Government. What's that group? Department of State. There's an open whoever does the over opinions recommends different language. So we are looking for a motion to enter executive session to discuss a potential future hiring decision with no business to be conducted at the end of executive session. Dan, Deb, further. Is there any other business that need to come up first?
No, but I tell you guys I'm going skydiving.
What's that one?
The one that I recused myself.
He's looking at me like I'm nuts.
I think we did this already.
National Grid, that's
I'm
not.
a former
That's not
student, so I
the
stayed in
easement,
touch
that's
with.
the-
She's
That's the
very-
new one.
That's the one we just did.
That's
She
the one we just
remembered years ago when I said, I always wanted to go skydiving.
Wait,
And that's what
think
she's doing
about
for
it. Yeah.
her 40th birthday.
Do you want to
I
recuse
recused
yourself from
myself,
that?
yeah.
Hey, point of order.
Yeah, that's what I was like.
Trustee needs to recuse
I thought we
himself.
just did the easement,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
fine.
easement, and that's the motion, the resolution.
Technically, Brett, it's not
It's not
not directly with St. Cobain, so but we'll adjust the record to note that. Okay, we have a motion to enter executive session. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed or abstentions?
Get lost, guys.
Carries. We are entering executive session at 9:21 p.m.